Reverse that shit. All right, we live.
Yeah, man.
It's getting started. Radio ain't started yet, but pre-show. We up in the Max FM studios. That camera seems like it's kind of fuzzy.
I don't know if it's stream on my phone.
Yeah.
That's when it comes to those debates, we can debate for days.
Oh, absolutely. We sit here and debate for the next 5 hours and not even get this show started. Okay, if I need to move that, let me know if I need to move the iPad out of the way.
Yeah, I'm just putting
the pre-show. YouTube, what up?
Where's that plug in over there? But yeah, it'd be cool to hear,
Yeah.
Hear Jay.
The thing about Jay, he was taught by so many people before he even came out.
Yeah, he had the greats one with him.
He had a good advantage over a lot of people. Let's see what to do. No. I still don't know how to stream on my phone.
Stream on your phone? I think it's just a tab. YouTube, what up? This is the pre-show chaoticness. Chaotic mess. Before we do this.
Just these behind you guys.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you.
There we go. Alright, so I'm already recording on YouTube. Recording on the camera over there. Guess I gotta get you to here to record on that camera.
Really give me a good schedule for this stupid show. That's just for 2 weeks.
Turono Talks episode 2. What up? Say something.
All right, we in place. Let me grab my.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
All right.
Okay.
That's how this works.
Are you reviewing this camera? There you go. Perfect.
Yeah,
You
we're
are
rolling
here.
there.
We're rolling.
Let me get the washroom too.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so we was about to start. Motherfucking mic just disappeared. Took off on us. But we're live. Leave some comments. You see I'm pulling out the phone. About to let people know my phone's messed up too. Shout out our sponsors, or not sponsors, at least leafexpress.ca.
Hey.
Beast York. And shout out my dude Goliath Pa. Let's post up on Facebook that we about to go live.
Yes, sir. Is that the YouTube live over there?
That's the YouTube live.
Shout out to YouTube live.
Shout out to YouTube Nation.
All right. Let's see.
My phone's all messed up, man. I can't read what I'm writing. I want to say go live and it turned out to say ho live. People will be like, what the fuck does ho live mean? I don't know what ho live means at all. I apologize.
All right, Facebook Live, we rolling here. What's good? You know what I'm saying? Y'all see me, I guess, for the time being, till we gotta move that.
Kelly Maloney Mal.
Yeah, we gonna rock. Let's get these sounds. Let's see, how's it sound? 1, 2, 1, 2. That sounds actually pretty good. I had an interview in here yesterday, so level should be pretty good.
Nice. Let me put these headphones on, test it out, see what it sounds like. Actually, my headphones are not on. I'm not getting shit.
Okay, 1 sec, I'll change that.
What's going on here, Maloney?
Hey, yo,
What's going on?
Facebook. We about to do episode 2, Turono Talks. We just setting everything up here, getting it popping. Your headphones are on. All right, try that.
Yeah.
There you go, right?
We
all right.
on.
All right, Mike.
Business.
Yeah, mic check.
I just got to get your sound check on here.
Yeah.
Check.
1, 2, mic check.
Everything's sounding pretty good. All right. All right. Hey, Riley, what's up, man? Yeah, East Coast Vibes. Shout out. You shout out your sponsors. My sponsor, East Coast Vibes. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Riley.
Shout out to Riley. That's what's up.
One Film Productions.
That's what's up.
All right. We'll go live on Facebook, Instagram as well soon. Just let this phone charge up a little bit more before we do that.
What's the thing again?
The internet.
Yeah.
Let me write it down for you quick.
And I gotta figure out how to do live out here because I have no idea.
I think it's that. If not,
yeah,
try
yeah.
AVE after too.
Okay.
Yo, what's up, Facebook? Yo, Wooly, what's good? What's cracking? We about to go.
Yeah.
Episode 2, Turono Talks with the homies Mike Stone, Dustin Wareham. We just getting the sound set
What
up
up, what up?
proper, you know what I mean?
Toronto, how's it going, baby?
Yo, Riley, hit me up. We can do that, man. I played it on the show a couple weeks ago. Hit me up. We can make something happen. No problem. Yeah, Raymond. Oh, yo, it was good, my G. Raymond's in the place to be. Shout outs to Raymond. You know what I'm saying? Yo, shout outs to Junk. Junk's watching right now. My name is Junk. Go check out his new music video, social media. Shit's crazy.
Shout out Junk. What up, homie? How you doing?
But yeah, we about to get in this. Once Stone's good to go live, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we
I
can
have
get
no
in
idea
this.
how to do this.
Did that not work?
No, I'm talking
It did
about
work?
the live on my phone.
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to figure that out.
It
Is
did
it
work.
400 or 401?
400.
Okay.
Oh yeah, my bad.
No,
I always do that.
And it's on Max 1 or Max 2?
That'd be Max 2.
Okay, cool. So that's
Shout out Maximum FM for having us in the place to be. You know what I mean? Shout out to
No.
everyone watching us live right now.
Shout out Chris. Shout out Mike.
Yes. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Maximum FM. Make sure you go get the app, Max Now TV as well too. They got the app. They're playing 24/7 hip hop. They got I think 7 stations right now, or 7 networks right now, which is 24 hours live video and shit like that, music videos, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So check that out.
You're definitely doing big things for Canadian hip hop. Definitely doing big things for the local scene and
Yeah.
supporting, which is dope. you
And
know,
Max
so-
Max Now TV too has I think
Right,
2 million
right.
listeners or viewers or something
Oh,
like
that's
that. Like,
dope.
they hit a huge number like that.
Like
So-
2 million impressions.
Yeah, I think
That's
something
dope.
like that. Yeah.
That's
So-
dope. Congratulations.
Yo, and for the record, actually, too, before we even get this popping, one thing I was pumped about, I
Yeah.
went on my YouTube while I was here before you guys came to Breaking
Live
Records
pop, what
Radio.
up, homie?
And we're almost at 500,000 video watches on our
Ooh.
Breaking Records radio page.
Okay,
We're at,
congratulations.
We're like 418,000 or something, so as long as we keep
Congratulations.
the exponential growth going, you know what I mean? Hopefully
Yeah.
hit that 500,000 mark real soon.
I think you get a plaque from YouTube when you hit 1 million views.
Yeah,
right?
I think you do. Yeah. So that'd be dope
Alright.
to get a
Shout out
YouTube
home.
plaque. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yo, go subscribe, everybody watching Live Breaking Records Radio on YouTube. That's WRECK. That's how we spell it all day.
Yeah.
Mike, you ready to roll?
I'm just trying to find. I don't have no idea where to do this live.
The live?
Live on what? On IG?
Oh no, on Facebook.
On Facebook, so you got to go to your status.
Follow the homies.
And
Right here.
Dustin Wareham on
Are
Instagram.
you using the app or you just
Favorite
on-
Babies,
I'm
that's
just on my-
80.
okay, so you got to use the app.
Favorite Babies.
Fuck that.
You got to use the app if you want to go
Oh,
live.
You don't got the app. You don't got the app.
Yeah,
Men's don't want to
downloaded
use the
it,
Facebook
downloaded
app.
it.
No, you know what? I hid from that for so
It's so
long.
annoying,
Yeah,
man.
but as the years go on, they keep making it harder and harder to use the fucking
The apps and stuff, or the just the web page
The
without the
webpage
app.
version on your
Yeah,
phone,
yeah.
yeah.
Don't even, I still
Yeah.
use the webpage, but I guess
Shout
I
out
gotta do it on
Facebook
IG.
for forcing us to use that.
The app,
Mike doesn't
yeah.
want to use the app.
I didn't
so-
for years, yo. I finally had
I've
to
known
get it
this
to make my
use for
life
it.
easier.
Okay, let me try on IG.
There you go.
The way I see it, I'm like, you know what? Government's tracking everything. We live in 1984. The only difference is we pay for that television in our room. It's not just there without
Yeah.
choice.
No, I
We
just
pay
don't-
for
that-
it.
that
We
was
carry
just
it in our
annoying as
So
fuck.
you're
pocket.
saying it's a George Orwellian world that we live in right now.
Very, very much.
Were you
so.
born in '84? What year are you born?
89.
Okay.
Yeah.
None of us in this room were born in '84. That would be awesome if
That-
one
that
of us
would
in this
be
room was
pretty
born in
dope.
1984, right? I
My
feel really
rap
good
name
about
would be George Orwell if I was born in
that.
84.
Serious.
Here's that.
Okay.
Yo.
I'm waiting for someone to put out an Animal
Yo,
Farm
Joe
album.
Dickinson, what's up, my G?
Hey.
He uses the webpage without the app. That's Max Now TV.
Crew for life.
That's
Shout out
gangsta
to
right there.
IG
Crew
now.
for life. You know what I'm saying?
Life.
I don't know if you're gonna be
here.
around September 1st, but I'm supposed to be interviewing class. So if you're around, I'll see you fucking September 1st, Joe.
Okay, perfect.
My dude.
Should be an option here.
We gonna get it popping soon. So
You should have an option there. I don't know. I'm not sure with yours how
You
you
got
go
IG
live
on
and
your
stuff.
phone?
Yeah.
You could do IG live.
That's what I'm trying
So
to
we're
do
struggling
right
with
now.
technology out here,
Yeah.
man. Like y'all gotta help
We're
us
about to
out.
get
We're
rolling.
struggling with it.
Okay, just get started and I'll figure it out somehow.
See, mine it just says I bring it up and it just says live right there.
Okay, yeah.
So I just tap live. I'm gonna go live real quick.
That's weird as shit. I don't have to. So
Boom.
I guess I can just press it and it'll go live. You know.
Yeah, just try pressing, see if it goes live. Hey, yo, man, if you watching, shout out to my Aunt Donna. What's up? I see you just popped in. Drop us a comment. This is Turono Talks weekly show. We got myself, Dustin Wareham. We got my homeboy, Kelly Maloney. We got Mike Stone. And we just want to talk about Toronto. We want to talk about life. We want to talk about music, sex, politics, you know, all the things that go on. And just let you know this in our average show. So, you know, we got on the docket today. We're going to hit up my man, Dio.
Yep.
We're going to call Dio today.
Call him Dio.
He's going to talk about his Northern Power Summit.
That's funny because Joe just
coming up this
asked us. He's like, hopefully see you guys at the MPS.
There you go. I'm going to try to hit it up.
I don't think I'll be there, unfortunately, as much as I want to. Well, I gotta interview Robbie actually.
Okay.
So you want me to do it there, but like.
Robbie as in Robbie G, as
yeah,
in like as in Raekwon, not
Yeah.
Ghostface. Like Ghostface Killer when it's Raekwon.
Best believe we were supposed to do this interview while on tour, but now I'm gonna get the official response from him what he has to say about the challenge.
Please,
Yo,
you
Robbie's
gotta
my
post
dude.
that up.
Shout outs Robbie.
Sorry for
Shout outs
popping on the
Robbie.
mic.
You know what I mean?
You gotta post
Shout
that
outs
up.
Robbie. I'm wearing the Robbie hat right now. You know what I'm saying? Shout outs Robbie.
That's dope. That's what's up.
That's my dude right there.
Yeah, so we're gonna hit up Dio, and like I said, we're gonna talk about the Northern Power Summit. What else we gonna talk about today, man?
You had some other. That's why I have my other phone.
There you
here.
go. That's what I feel like I should write it down on a notebook.
Yeah, that's
you know
what I
mean?
got here.
Shout out to you know what I'm saying, War Love. You know what I'm saying? If that's not my dude, you know that's Governor. Is that not Governor?
Hey, Govs.
Governor, what up, homie?
Yo, Govs.
Showing love as
The homie.
usual. Giorgio Mamalidi, his comments on Gene and Finch, we gotta definitely talk
Yeah,
about that
yeah,
one
that's
today.
crazy,
You know,
that's
I think his
crazy.
comments were definitely out of pocket. Let us know what you think about those comments if you guys are watching. You know what I'm saying? The comments about Gene and Finch and the cockroach comments and whatnot. Evicting the people. What else we got on the docket?
10 years, King of the Dot.
Oh, hey, yeah. You know what? Let's start that out quick, man. Shout out to Organic. Shout out to PvP.
Hold on. Are we good to
Shout out
roll?
the
Are
whole
we good to
squad.
roll?
we're
The
good
show
to go.
hasn't started yet. Okay, cool.
Oh, so this is just a pre-show.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
pre-show right here.
You guys are watching the
You
pre-show
guys are watching
right
the
now.
pre-show. All right, we're about to get it popping. 1, 2,
I'm
3.
gonna have to figure this out another day.
Let's go.
Alright.
Hey, we are rolling. Turono Talks, Volume 2. Everybody introduce yourselves.
Dustin Wareham, DJ D's Nuts, Mr. 80s favorite babies, all day, every day, up in the building. What's up?
Yo, it's Mike Stone. You already know.
Yeah.
And your man
Salute Chino.
Maloney, Breaking Records Radio, No Condom Podcast, Breaking Records, all that good shit. You know, we about to get in here. We're about to have some good discussion with y'all today.
Yep. About to jump into this Turono Talks.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody on the live, they cooperate with us, add some dialogue, ask some
Absolutely.
questions. You know, we all about
Tune
that.
in. Drop some lines. Say what's
so either
up.
way, what were you just about to jump into? The King of the Dot, 10 years.
10 years. Happy 10-year anniversary to
Shout
King of
out
the
to
Dot.
PvP.
Shout out to PvP. Shout out to Organic. Shout out to Sandeep. Shout out to the whole squad. Everybody involved. You know what I mean? Like,
Can't believe it's 10 years for real.
woo.
That's crazy, eh?
10 years, and they got a movie pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're worldwide. If they're not the biggest battle league in the world, they're definitely right up there with the top biggest battle leagues in the world. So
I think they gotta be the biggest at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised. Who's bigger than King of the Dot?
No one I could think, even the competitors I could think of, like Eminem ain't going to them with the movie. You know what I mean? You're doing something fucking right if you're in that rank.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So shout out King of the Dot, shout out Organic, man, and these guys took it worldwide, man. I'm definitely proud of those guys. I'm proud to be homies with them and at least, I'm saying not super tight, but at least know them and be able to say like, yeah, I know the King of the Dot guys, like,
And actually, do you think, because he's your homie, but do you think PvP, I know he's always stayed in the background and stuff, but he doesn't get the credit he deserves in that movement.
Well, I think it's because he just kind of enjoys the background. I think once he decides that he wants to get out of the background a little bit more and kind of, you know, I think he'll definitely get the credit that he deserves. But yeah, for sure, he deserves a little
Like
bit
a
more
lot of
credit.
people sleep on, everybody thinks it's all organic, all goalie, you know what I mean? But
yeah, no, definitely. Shout out PvP, saying he's putting his work. He deserves, more credit. We're drinking the beers right here, so we're burping. But yeah, say shout out PvP. That's my homie. That's my DJ. You know what I mean? And he's one of the founders of King of the Dot. So I always tell people that I always name drop and be like, yeah, my personal DJ is founder of King of the Dot.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, not too many people really know that. You know what I mean? So shout out to him, but shout out to them, man. 10 years is huge.
That's crazy, man.
Before King of the Dot, really, we had a few battle leagues and we had 8 Mile. But these guys have literally changed it to the point where Eminem's name dropping them in songs. Eminem's showing up to movies,
Yeah.
you know, that are basically based on battles that these guys have done. You know what I'm saying?
It's
So
crazy.
proud of that. You know, Toronto's not just Drake. Toronto is KOTD, and KOTD has done big things for this fucking city. So
Yeah.
shout out those dudes, man. You know
It's
what I
kind of
mean?
dope too, because if you think about it, like especially like me, right? You guys,
Yeah.
you guys outdate me a bit, but being born in '89, being a '90s baby,
Yeah.
Like growing up, you look at like Canadian hip hop, and you know, you had your main dudes,
Right.
But like you felt like there was no identity for Canada. You know what I mean? Like in like whether you listen to like underground or you
Yeah.
listen to like mainstream, you know, we had our shit,
Yeah.
Right.
But we had like no global identity.
Yeah.
And I think it's really dope because you fast forward even like, you know,
Yeah.
or backwards like 10 years, but you like look at it now.
Right.
KOTD represents like
Oh,
anyone who's a
of
fan of bars, underground hip hop and
Yeah.
shit, you know KOTD.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And anybody who's like a fan of pop, hip hop, you know, doesn't know shit about the culture, don't care about
Absolutely.
theirs.
Absolutely.
You know,
Drake is on top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we are like we're represented in both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
to
know-
the fullest. Shout out DJ Doctor too, because he's held it down for a long time, and I feel like he doesn't necessarily get the,
Yeah,
you know, get
Doctor.
the credit that you know,
Word.
he deserves, because he's an amazing fucking DJ.
Yeah.
So
My
shout out him.
ex-girlfriend worked with him at Real Sports.
Oh, Real Sport? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's fuck, man. Pretty good spot to work. You know, all the Leafs games and stuff.
Yeah, she wasn't in like. I don't know, either way. That's another conversation. You know what I mean?
We don't need to talk about
Nah.
exes on this show.
No, we do not.
We moving forward. We not looking back.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The only time we looking back is to make progression in a forward manner, right?
Right,
That's what we're about to do.
exactly. But no,
Yeah.
shout out to KOTD. You know, they deserve it. You know, 10-year anniversary. They definitely deserve that. You know, and big things to them, man. Yo, are you guys wrestling fans by any chance?
I am not.
You're not a wrestling fan?
I'm a big wrestling hater advocate.
Get the fuck outta here.
That's the sad part.
Right, that's what's up. I'm a huge wrestling fan, like absolutely superly huge wrestling fan.
Word.
So unfortunately Jim the Anvil Neidhart just passed away. You know,
Rest in peace.
rest in peace, right? I'm sure you know Jim the Anvil
Yeah, yeah, of
Neidhart.
course.
That's what
I
I'm
honestly
talking
don't.
about.
I
You
used to
know,
love the
so-
Heart Foundation.
Right, the Heart Foundation was
Canadian
exactly. And you know what's really crazy? You're not really a fan, but there's a picture of the Heart Foundation, and it's Brett, it's his brother Owen,
Mhm.
it's the British Bulldog Davy Boy Smith,
Mhm.
it's Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and it's Brian Pillman, who's an American dude who you know he trained with them. All those guys are dead except for Bret Hart. Like that is fucking nuts. You know what I mean?
That's
So-
shit. I don't know any of this.
Nah.
Wait, did you say except for Bret Hart?
except for
Yeah.
Bret Hart. Bret Hart's still alive.
Wasn't he the one who fell from the ceiling?
No, that was his brother Owen.
Oh,
His brother Owen
okay,
unfortunately
okay,
passed
okay,
away,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
he unfortunately passed away. His harness or something broke, and he was coming
Yeah,
down
yeah.
doing a stunt, and he had fallen in the ring and hit his head, and unfortunately
Okay,
passed
word.
away. He was really dope, man. He was younger than Brett too, but you know.
You know what's crazy too? I never realized, like, especially when I was growing up. Well, I guess you know where I grew up. Like, well, there's a conversation me and you had about having to defend hip hop growing up, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why old heads, I think personally, are so critical of the
Yeah.
music that comes out, especially
Because
nowadays,
of what? Yeah.
because we grew up having to defend hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Now you guys
Yeah.
are older than me, but you grew up in Toronto, so it was here first.
Yeah.
I grew up in a smaller town, Brantford. So when I was coming up, I was the only kid in school wearing FUBU and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like shit like that, and like
Yeah.
people looked at me like I was a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
And so like I had to grow up defending hip hop,
Yeah.
right? Finding the good in it, and you know, exposing it to people like this is why I love hip hop.
Yeah.
It's not what you see.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
exactly.
So I think that's one reason why we all defend it so strong. But the point I was getting at was, I guess coming up in that time, I never realized how many people that identified with hip hop culture identified with wrestling until
yeah.
until Facebook,
Well,
man.
well, you gotta understand. You know what I'm saying? Like they both came into their own in the early '80s.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when WWE and Hulk Hogan's coming to his own, you got WrestleMania 3. You also got Run DMC popping
Yeah, all
off.
at the same
You got
time.
MTV. Like MTV is kind of what made WWE what it was.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
they had a really
MTV?
Yeah, MTV had an early relationship with WWF at
Oh,
the time.
word,
Cyndi
okay.
Lauper specifically, and that really helped blow it up on a worldwide scale,
Crazy, I
worldwide
didn't
level.
know that.
So you know, if you look at the '80s, that's why like '80s favorite babies. I chose that name for
Yeah.
a reason because most of the things that are synonymous with how we live today,
Yeah.
whether it's video games, you know, for the most part, Nintendo home video games, Nintendo, Sega, all that stuff came out in the '80s, right?
Hardcore drug culture.
Hardcore drug culture.
Yeah.
There you
All
go.
in the
Hip
same
hop
time.
music. You know what I'm saying? Like
All at the
all
same
that shit.
time.
Wrestling really blew up in the '80s.
Yeah.
Cable. The early '80s was crazy for that shit. You know what I mean? And Yeah, wrestling and hip hop, they're synonymous because most of the guys rapping, they grew up watching that shit. Especially if you grew up in the East Coast, you grew up watching WWF.
Yeah.
So you knew.
And I can't lie, I did watch it when I was a kid. That was around the time when, like, Steve Austin was big and fucking, like, the Hardy Boys and fucking The Rock was still a wrestler, not an actor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking, but, I think it was one of those things, and actually, I wonder if you guys maybe, you would have learned it earlier than me, but I wonder if you had a similar relationship to it in a sense. The only thing is I treat them differently. But so when I learned about wrestling being fake, that's when it did it for me. I was like, oh, that's whack.
Honestly,
and then I just stopped. I stopped giving a shit completely. But the funny thing is, years later, as a teenager, when you learn that hip hop's fake and all these people ain't real,
right?
You know what I mean? That's why I went through a really strong period in my teenage years. And rappers that I loved, I stopped listening to because I'm like, this dude's fake.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't even think Rick Ross was dope until like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Because I just for years was like, oh fuck that fake shit. You know what I mean? Motherfucker. You know what I mean?
And then it's like, fuck, it's just the art. Let me listen to the art.
Yeah, exactly. Years later, once again, I learned to separate art from fucking identity again. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, well, I've been sleeping on Ross for a while. Everyone considers him great. I went back, I'm like, oh, dude's nice. Like,
well, that's how I look at it, and how I kind of look at wrestling is like, you ever promoted a show? Have you ever put on your own event?
Yeah, I used to do it quite a bit.
So I look at Vince McMahon like he's the fucking ultimate promoter. He's the biggest, whether it's hip hop or anything, he's the best promoter of all time. Because think about it, he's selling out shows almost every fucking night for how many years now?
Yo,
Stadiums.
You know what?
You know
when
what I'm
you
saying?
say that, I never even thought about that. Right?
Exactly.
Like you
right?
look at it like a league, like a sport, like something
exactly.
But it's actually just like
performance.
It's a performance event that goes city to city.
It's like putting
it's
on a hip hop show every night, and you're putting on the best show. This guy's the
best.
It's like
a Broadway play. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
And he sells out stadiums. That's crazy.
All year has a huge pay-per-view, has his own network.
That is a genius in a sense, eh?
The big WrestleMania. Right?
It's like the first reality TV.
Kind of. Yeah.
It's kind of like the birth of reality TV, actually. That's crazy, and you selling it. Yo, when you put it that way,
Vince McMahon's a genius.
I never looked at that like
really
that, but you're right. He is like a promoter. He literally is a promoter.
No, that's what they
found a genius way of marketing
the
events.
Yeah. And that's what I've read a lot of like biographies of these guys because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And when you start getting to it, it's promoters. This guy's getting ripped off from promoters. This guy's having to travel to these little indie circuits and making $25 to do a show. And you start seeing the parallels and the similarities. You put in years.
Girl, Caitlin Diamond. Sorry not to cut you off, but she's a wrestler right now trying to go pro. She's always traveling internationally.
Please do it.
Shout out to Caitlin Diamond. The
Shout
funny
out
thing
Caitlin
about her
Diamond.
too is she was the one who got me into hip hop. I already like your little nuanced and shit when I was a kid and shit. But I listened to like alternative shit in the '90s when I was a little kid. I like I Like Peace. I like fucking like Tragically Hip. I like Oasis. I like I like shit like that. Fucking Limp Bizkit. Fucking. It wasn't until like
Who's your favorite band?
My favorite band?
Yeah. Who's your favorite act? Like hip hop, non-hip hop. Who's your favorite act?
Well, it'd have to go non-hip hop because like hip hop's my genre at the end of the day.
Okay.
But it's like that's so hard because the older I get, the more appreciation I find for other genres.
Let us know who your favorite act is.
Everybody, let us know who your favorite acts are. That's a really hard one. Well, me personally, actually, it's not that hard because Michael Jackson's my favorite.
Okay. Dope choice.
Hands down.
Dope choice.
And I liked him since a little kid. Like I always liked like urban music, you know what I mean? But I just wasn't like into rap. Like I knew what I was presenting on Much Music, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like I had Tupac albums, I had Biggie albums, I had I remember when I ripped the Slim Shady LP from my brothers back when we still had cassettes. So I went to his house. He babysat me one week. I knew my parents wouldn't buy me the album because I was a little kid. So I went like when he was sleeping because he was hungover. He was sleeping until like 2 in the afternoon. I went to the room with his boombox and I recorded it on 2 sides of I think it was like an Aerosmith cassette I had. I just put the tape over the holes. You know what I'm saying? Recorded over it because I wanted.
So someone went to go listen to Aerosmith and it turned out to be Eminem.
It was my tape.
Okay.
But, so either way, the only reason I brought that up is shout out to Caitlin Diamond. She was the one who turned me on to BET. Rap City. It's crazy, you know what I mean? She probably doesn't even like rap anymore. But back then, she turned me on BET with fucking 106 in Park. Like it was crazy to me to have a station where I could listen to urban music all day.
BET, right?
Yeah.
So there was a time I know Stone remembers
from the street.
Unless you got it on VHS.
Exactly. There was a time when I had to go. Shout out to Omar and Ray Henry, man. Those are my dudes from the Verns back in the day. So we had to go to their house because they had a satellite dish. So we were able to go to their house and actually watch BT. But unless you had a satellite dish, man, you weren't getting BT.
Yeah, I couldn't watch it at home. So I go to in grade 4. I used to go to her house after school and watch it.
And we didn't have no hits from the streets. We didn't have no 1 in 6 on Park. We had Rap City. We had that Soul Vibe Saturday show or whatever, and and the comedy show, man. We had Big Les and Joe Cleese. We didn't have Big Tigger. None of that.
Word. Yeah,
Old
like
school.
my early, like
Big
I mean,
Les.
like I said, I owned CDs. I was always a CD collector. I listened to hip hop like the popular shit. You know, I had Biggie, Puffy, fucking, you know, what I mean, the Eminem tape. I had Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. You know, like I had certain shit, but I didn't know like hip hop culture, urban culture like that. You know what I mean? I was presented the white, watered down version much music always gave you. You know what I mean? So I wasn't familiar with it until actually Caitlin Diamond. So talking about Brass, shout outs to her. She turned me on to BT, and it changed my whole fucking life.
Where is she wrestling? Is she wrestling in Toronto? Is she wrestling?
She's international. I think she still lives in Brantford because I've like me and her lost contact for years, and I was out in a bar like a year ago.
Shout out Justin Klitsch as well because he's with Super Kicked, right?
Word.
Was it Justin Klitsch? What's his name? Yeah, Justin. He's with Super Kicked, is he not?
I don't even know.
Jufrey.
Oh, word.
Yeah, Jufrey. I think he's working with Super Kicked.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, man. Shout out my dude. Shout out Frozes, because me and him snuck into a Ring of Honor event not too long ago. Just straight up side door snuck into that shit. I got a million Frozes stories.
I'll put no comment on Frozes.
But I was just curious to hear. You know,
I think he got salty with me over like he posted something on a post one day, and I was like, "Fuck off, Frozes." And then he like unfriended me and shit, and like then he tagged me on Instagram one day, and he's like, "Yeah, step to this heat." And I think he was like dissing me. He was like sent me these little clips of a song playing off a computer, and I couldn't understand anything. But like, I only heard the word white bandana.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Are you trying to diss me?" I'm like, "Yo, you gotta like at least send me the file so I can like hear what you're saying if you want to like go if you want to go for the smoke."
Frozes, my boy,
you know what I mean?
Man.
I even tried to add him back on Facebook because I didn't think it was nothing serious, but he didn't accept.
Sometimes on Facebook people take shit too serious.
They did, yeah. It was
small shit.
And
That's
some
where we're at in this
posts,
world,
like, I think he put like a sarcastic comment on my post, so I'm like, "Fuck off, Frozes." I was drunk, you know what I mean? Like, and like he took it seriously. I don't know.
All right, well, I'm sending
I got
love
love
to
for
my homeboy
Frozes.
Frozes.
Shout outs to Frozes
That's
still.
what's up.
We have your Randy and Ricky masks in the station here still too with cardboard faces. I got love for Frozes,
that's
man.
another thing. If you're hearing this, Frozes, I'm waiting for you to do the big face Drake Kiki challenge.
Oh,
we already
shit.
talked about it, but I want to see you do it.
That's that challenge. Shout out to Governor though. He's saying Onyx, Too Short, EPMD. But Stone, who's your favorite act, man? I'm curious to know who are you really into, you know what I'm saying? Before I say
favorite act
mine.
of all time?
Yeah, all time, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to be hip hop, it could be whatever. What's your favorite? If y'all got some favorites out there, let us know. Shout out Governor.
I don't have one favorite.
You're a DJ, I'm a DJ, so I feel it's kind of what you feel like you're in the moment for at that time, or
It's hard,
I'll
right?
just say James Brown for now.
Okay.
That's
Dope. That's
There's
what's
so
up.
much more.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
See, for me, you guys might not even ever heard like my favorite act with Deftones.
I knew that.
Oh, see, you exactly. So my closest friends know. Some people out there know. Like, I'm a hardcore like rock and roll, hard rock fan. As much as I love hip hop, I got a rock fan. Shout out my sis Jen. What's up?
She's your first album had a lot
of rock influence. Well, because even before I worked on that album, I was in a band called 85 East, and we had put in like a good, man, I want to say 5 years worth of work, probably working on a full album, right? So shout out to them. But yeah, you know, I mean, Deftones is definitely my favorite act, you know, and it's just dope to have like different eclectic acts or whatnot.
Yeah.
But you know, like, I don't know, music's music, you know what I'm saying, regardless of whatnot. So.
And so we got a question here from somebody. It was a little while back, but I just didn't want to cut off the conversation. So it was on what we were talking about just like previous to that, but about you know, like radio and like how we have the two identities, not like we cover both sides of the culture now, right? And the homie Robert Woolley, he asked, all right, here's the first question: would you all do radio for other genres other than hip hop?
Yeah, hell yeah, why not, man? Why not? You know how big radio is for rock music?
But
I'll do it for classical music if I had to.
But you wouldn't do it for hip hop?
I would do for hip hop.
So like, would you water your shit down to get like a check? I think that's the perspective.
You mean like make music? You mean like water your music down?
Well, I think
radio?
like do radio. You know, like do the radio, like
record.
You know, to be a radio artist. You know what I mean? Would you be a radio artist and test your integrity, or would
Why
you?
not?
You don't have to test your integrity.
But he said for other genres other than hip hop. Let me read this, make sure I got it right.
Absolutely.
All right, here's the first question: would you all do radio for other genres other than hip hop?
Yeah.
So I think he's already kind of like assuming we have that cultural identity where we wouldn't compromise it for, but would you do it for other genres?
Yeah, why not? I like other genres.
Yeah.
And would you do it for hip hop?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily water my music down. You don't have to necessarily water your music
But you
down
go with an
for
image.
hip-hop.
You go with like a pre-packaged image that a label gave you or something to get
Oh,
ready.
that'd be a little fucked up.
Yeah, that's a little. If you're not
be
organic, you're not going to
yourself.
succeed. That's the thing with hip
You
hop.
can be yourself to a degree.
Yeah.
The
It can
most
go both
successful,
ways.
but those
Yeah.
are one-hit wonders. The most successful individuals in hip hop or music at all are the ones who are themselves.
No, I think
If
it's
you're
the
a
people who
copycat-
learn how to balance fake with real.
Okay.
They give you enough real to keep you biting, but
Mm-hmm.
there's enough fake to keep your imagination going.
Okay.
And now, don't take this
That makes
wrong,
no
'cause he's one of my
sense.
favorite rappers, but like Jay-Z is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Well, I think, like I said, we were talking earlier. I think Jay-Z's a master psychologist. I think Jay-Z.
He's a smart dude.
I think he's
Yeah,
beyond
super
smart. I think
smart.
he's a genius.
He's one of my favorite rappers. Like, I think he, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm talking, like, I'm not just talking rappers. Like, I'm talking MCs. Like,
Yeah.
he's one of my favorites. Like, I'd put him top 5. I used to hate him when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
grew up. It wasn't until I heard Threat. And I'm like, yo, Hove can spit like this? And then I had to go back and check his whole catalog and be like, what the fuck have I been sleeping on
Yeah,
for all these
for
years?
sure.
And then, you know,
For sure.
then you
I would
find the
say-
original flavor shit. You find,
Yeah.
like, the Big Al album feature, the fucking Stretch and
Right,
Bob
right,
Beetle.
right.
You find all that. Well, I already heard Stretch and Bob Beetle. You know what I mean? But
In my personal
you
opinion-
look at everything differently.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion, Jay-Z is the greatest straight rapper
Yeah.
of all time. Because I'm from the generation where we argue about rappers
And
versus MCs.
Yeah, yeah.
So Jay-Z is the best rapper. He showed up to the job. He murdered it no matter what era he's in.
Yeah.
He made mad money. And he was the coolest motherfucker in the room and on the microphone
Yeah.
doing it. He's the Frank Sinatra of my generation.
And actually,
you know what I'm saying?
You saying this too, and it goes to a point you were talking about the one day when you said Busta Rhymes doesn't get the credit he
Oh,
deserves.
he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Why don't people?
But he's
mention
too
him?
animated.
No,
Because
but-
he's too
well, see,
animated.
And this was the
You know
point
what
I
it is?
made. A point I made was that I think to be mentioned in the greatest list, you have to
Yeah.
have a level of humility and humility. You have to show yourself. You have to show.
Right.
You have to expose the
Makes
side of you
sense.
which is vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or else
Makes
people, because that's
sense.
what people relate to. You know, that's what makes great so great.
Yeah.
They might
Yeah.
act like the coolest motherfucker on half the records, but they show you some vulnerability.
Right,
And the
right,
only
right.
time I thought that method ever really compromised, because if you think about all the greatest rappers all the time, they did that.
Yeah.
Like literally every single one.
Yeah. No, they kind
Except
of
the only one I couldn't think of, and he gave you a little bit, like, yo, my cousin, I shot my cousin over ice, and a couple little things. But Hove was the one guy who almost never gave you that.
Yeah.
And he still transcended, but because he always he played that cool guy role so fucking
he did
perfect.
He did try to shoot his brother over a ring though. They had
Yeah,
a-
or his cousin or whatever.
No, that was
but
his
like,
brother,
His
but-
stepbrother.
No, it was his brother. It was his
His
brother.
full
They don't
brother?
talk. Yeah, they don't talk. It was his brother. But
Oh,
yeah, I remember that story.
But yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like he had those like songs like You Must Love Me, and like there were a
Yeah.
few songs that showed
Well,
a little vulnerability, like maybe one each album.
I think
Daddy,
what it
where
is-
have you been? You know,
I think what
but
it is was
it wasn't
was,
until like Kingdom Come, I feel like he actually like singles started to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like after he already almost cemented himself in that great position, he didn't really show vulnerability as to where his latest album now is the most vulnerable work he's put out.
Okay, I get what you're saying. But what I think with Jay is like, when did Jay blow up? Jay blew up when he was about 26, 27 years old with his first and second album. So he brought a maturity to the game. If you look at like a lot of these rappers, they were doing, you know what I'm saying, like
Stuff
this,
way early.
they're doing
Yeah.
street shit and they're doing, you know, stuff early like Mike's saying.
Yeah,
but
Busta
Jay
and all
came in
that.
with a very mature type of attitude.
Yeah.
Jay always seems like he's ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like even if you go back and look at Reasonable Doubt and you look at his style,
Yeah.
this guy's wearing flat bottom shoes. He's wearing slacks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like his style was
And
impeccable.
those glasses he was wearing back in the day were
Right.
a hella whack,
You-
though. Those little
It's
fucking
what it
Cartier
is.
frames or whatever they were, little circle shits.
Hey, dude, you know how much those Cartier? Are you kidding me? You
Yeah,
know
but
how
they
much
were
those
the
cost?
ugliest shades, man. You
Yeah.
look like an idiot wearing
Hey.
those. I'm not gonna lie.
You want to hit? Can you hit record on that thing?
Oh,
I
shit,
think
it's
we,
stopped?
yeah,
Yeah.
the camera style. Hit record on yours. If you see your,
But there's one thing that people forget about Busta.
there we go.
He had like
Bust
three,
a
four
bus. Oh, he killed it.
classic back-to-back albums.
Well, the thing with Bust
Function
is like
is not selectable.
function is
A
not
lot of people only know
selectable.
Bust from what they saw on TV and they never really
Let
took
me-
the album.
You just got to hit the. There's a button on the back.
Yeah, I hit it. Saying function is not selectable.
No, because you're hitting the zoom button. There's a button on the far.
Oh, okay, I got it.
There
I
you
got it. My bad. My bad.
Something like that. No, Busta did his thing, man. Busta came out and I think when he what was it? I think even the Craig Mack track is really where people were like, oh shit. And then Busta came out and did the remix with Old Dirty Bastard, and from that point on, Busta was just unstoppable. His video game is what took Busta you know, to the levels of the
Yeah.
presence that he had. You know what I'm saying? Like his
Nobody
videos
can
were
talk to his
ridiculous.
video again.
Not at all.
But we're talking
Busta
about
Rhymes videos
Busta,
are the
though.
craziest things in the world.
Like I agree. I've wondered the same thing why he doesn't
Yeah,
get
Over
mentioned.
Rings crazy.
But I think that's the thing with him. Like even Jay, in the most like being the coolest dude in the world phases, he still gave you a little bit of vulnerability,
Yeah.
and I think it was just enough. Like he knew that you had to give a little something to connect with the
Yeah.
people. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the common person, not just the streets, but like a
Yeah.
little bit of emotion in there. He had to do a little bit of it. But it wasn't until later in his career, I think, he really like showed
Yeah.
more vulnerability
Yeah.
and like humanity in himself, right?
Well, you got to realize too is his nephew died. You know
But
what I
Busta
mean?
never did that.
Right.
Busta's always just
Always
been
animated.
the wild animated
Yeah,
dude. And
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
that's what
That's what he was.
doesn't put him in that
Yeah.
cap. And you know what? I would argue the same maybe with Black Thought too.
Yeah, you know
Because
you're right.
Black Thought's super
drop-
lyrical, but he doesn't
Yeah.
get personal.
I feel like Black Thought has patterns. He has very similar patterns that he'll follow the whole way through, and it's not a bad thing. You know, I do it myself even when I'm
Yeah, it's
rhyming,
dope. It's
but-
it's lyrical.
Yeah,
but
no,
sometimes
absolutely.
you gotta put lyrical on the wall to expose a little bit of yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think that's what makes greats greats. And I think
Yeah.
that's why Drake from so early on was just destined to be great because
Yeah.
he was almost the most vulnerable rapper that
Yeah.
ever existed. Like he just
Oh.
came out with like "Love You" songs and shit. And
Right.
like up until then, a
Drake's
girl.
he's not afraid to say the stuff that most dudes are afraid to
Yeah,
say.
like
right?
most dudes won't even like be on the phone with their girl in front of their friends and be like, "Yo, I love you." Like
Right,
they
right.
say it
Yeah.
real quiet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I'm not gonna call nobody out, but a lot of dudes I know are like that. Where I've always been doing, I'm just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I love you. Yeah, you keep." Like I'll say
Yeah.
cute shit in front of my
Yeah.
friends, whatever. It's like it is what it is. We all know we do that shit. It's just some people got this
Yeah.
image they gotta
Yeah.
protect, right? But Drake just came out and he's like, "Yeah, like I'm gonna be that soft fucking dude."
Just that, dude.
Yeah.
The thing that trips me out about Drake the most is the pockets he fucking finds. This guy finds
Yeah.
really weird pockets in a song to ride a flow where it's like, bro, how'd you come up with that? What made you come in on the two instead of the one? You say, what made you
Yeah,
come in
yeah.
like that, you know, and ride the beat that way? Because it's so unorthodox.
Yeah.
Where everyone for the most part is like really like boom, 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 boom. He's like da 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 da
Yeah.
da 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 da.
And
And
you
you're like,
know
yo,
what?
what the fuck? How does it? It works, but it doesn't make sense.
You know
what I
what's
mean?
funny? I've never been like I've always like adhered to flows, right?
Yeah.
Like flows like are what catch your ear and stuff.
Absolutely.
But I've never been the person as to where like with bars I've always been about like science, breaking it down, like thinking
Right,
like
right, right.
mathematical, right?
Yeah.
And with flows I've never been that. I just been like basically like with me it's always been like a flow's important, but
Yeah.
it's like your cadence, you know what I mean? Like if you sound interesting, like you draw me in, you know what I mean? Or if you got that good
Migos are good with
voice,
cadence for
you know
that.
what I mean? And see, but like that shit, like people who just do cadence shit, that like I've never looked at it in that perspective. Like, oh wow, he found a weird part of this beat to ride. You know what I mean? Like if it just sounds good on the beat, I'm like, yo, that's dope.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
that's
what
what I think
never
this
thought about it
generation is really
scientifically.
good at.
Yeah, and but before you continue, the only thing I was gonna say is I think it's cool that you brought that up because I never really caught that about
Right,
Drake.
right.
And now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, that he does do that.
Yeah.
I think that is one thing that really transcends him from different people. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, absolutely.
Like when he raps, and it's kind of like the traditional. But
Exactly.
when he does kind of more the slow flow and different, like shit where he's not saying a whole lot, but like he really does find these weird pockets
Yeah.
of the beat to ride.
No, he does, and I started studying some of his stuff, and just he'll end a line with a word and then start the line with the next word.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
very like he has a way of making his shit sound super simple, but then when you analyze it from a writer's perspective, you're like,
Yeah.
fuck, this is fucking really
no,
genius.
some
Like,
of-
how
some
did
of
he make it
his-
sound this simple?
Yeah.
You know, so
I think I can't even think of them like off the top. But no, Drake has some of like
He has
know,
some
and I
dope
know
shit.
some people just hate on Drake because he's Drake,
Right.
But like from an MC perspective, you know what I mean? He has some verses that I'm just like,
it was a dope.
yo,
Absolutely.
like just like I didn't even see like the way you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
think because there's a couple that like really stand out in my head. I think they're kind of like what's the album with his face? Nothing Was the Same.
Right.
That album, you know, I'm thinking, oh yeah, like tracks like Cake with Hove.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like whatever, he's talking about high school, people didn't pay him no mind. He's like,
Yeah.
make him come to the high school reunion through metal detectives. You know what I mean? But like shit like
security
that.
patting him down.
Yeah, like and
Yeah.
just the way it's worded though is so lyrical, but like it's just like
It
even
makes so much
the
sense, the
thought of that
visual.
too is like it's
Yeah.
like that's so dope.
He's like, you
how
know
do
what?
how do
I
you
wasn't the
think
man
of
in
that?
high school. You used to mess with me, but I'm gonna mess with you so much that when you come
Yeah.
back to our high school reunion, I'm gonna watch
Make
you go
everybody
through a
have to
metal
go through
detector
security
for no
clearance.
reason. Exactly.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to go through security clearance because I'm coming. That's a G move.
Like
to
and
be
that's
able to
genius.
put yourself
Like
in
to
that
me,
position.
like that's
I'm
like
gonna
genius
still
lyricism.
No comment. No comment.
I'm not saying like you don't to actually do that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's just like
No, no,
that
I
lyricism
understand.
Money.
No, I understand.
and the way of wording, like a perspective and just putting it like that is just so dope to me. Like that's literally like that reminds me, and I know people are gonna bug on me for saying this, but that reminds me of the type of poeticism that Cormega holds. Like that's what makes Cormega so great. Yo.
Alright, we going too deep in here.
Yo,
Let's switch it up. Let's switch it up, man.
We're talking about different levels of hip hop, right? Like Cormega's a real street dude. Drake ain't
Not
that.
even a street dude or not. I'm talking about just lyricism. I don't know if I can.
It's
accept that.
but I'm talking about the
I
poetry.
know. I understand.
You know what I mean?
On a poetic
The
level.
way like you just
I
find a
don't
way to
know.
word something in a way that
No,
just like
Cormega's dope.
I
Cormega,
can't. Maybe you could match it to a Q-tip.
no,
Maybe you could
Q-Tip
match
ain't
it-
even lyrical like that.
No, but I'm just saying.
No.
We're talking about being poetic.
No, I feel you. Q-Tip was more the, he was more
But
the.
I'm not saying-
Fife was nicer with
Yeah.
Because
I
even
feel
with
you, I
with
feel
Tribe,
you.
they're
That's
very
a good topic.
vulnerable if you want to look at it.
Shit.
Should we talk
Overall.
about that?
I think if we start really going deep into the
Even
hip hop
get
right now,
up.
we're not gonna get off this topic.
Nah,
So
nah.
maybe we
This
should
is
kind of
true.
like segue into
This is
something.
true. We'll talk
Yeah.
about something else for a bit.
You guys
And
Bond
get back to
fans?
hip hop, you know what I'm saying?
You guys, who's James Bond fans in this room, man?
I've never been one.
Oh,
Have you ever watched a James Bond movie?
I've watched a couple.
You watched a couple. You a Bond fan?
Yeah, not a fan, but I've watched it.
You guys hear that they're thinking about doing Idris Elba as the next James Bond?
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about that?
I don't like the thinking about it and then pre-hyping it and then
And then it doesn't
Yeah, and it
happen.
doesn't deliver.
and-
Yeah, that's
Okay,
why I haven't
okay,
shared
okay.
it on
I
Facebook.
feel you, I
don't
feel you.
care. I'm just like, no, we already spoke about this before. And if he does, fine. If he doesn't,
Yo, just make
Yeah.
sure you talk to the mic.
yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
well, I mean, other than Idris Elba, who else would be a good Bond? I think dude from Sons of Anarchy who played Jax would be a great Bond. Maybe he's too young.
Yeah.
I think he'd be good. He's British, right?
I think they need to dead the whole British fucking image thing, you know what I mean?
But that's the whole thing with
That's
Bond,
the-
though. He's a
the-
British MI6 agent.
But
You can't
know
make him
what?
American CIA.
We live in the
Doesn't
era
make
where
sense.
it's all about changing everything. Like the last Ninja Turtles, they were all girls, weren't they? Or the Ghostbusters or whatever.
Yeah,
or,
The
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
I don't know about the Ninja Turtles, but the
No, whatever,
Ghostbusters.
you know.
Listen, I kind
Yo,
of like
they
that
gotta bring-
Ghostbusters movie. A lot of people shit on it. I didn't mind it. It
or
wasn't
even like
bad.
the new Evil Dead. They redid
Actually
the Evil
sucked.
Dead, and instead of like Ash being the badass, like
Yeah.
the chick was the badass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're rewriting that kind of, you know.
So they're changing with them changing the classics.
No,
You
no,
want the classics to stay.
I'm alright with it, but that's what I'm saying. You got to
Okay.
get off the British tip of Bond, like you know.
But he's an MI6 agent. He can't not be British.
All right, you want a great comparison?
Okay.
The original Scarface movie made in what 39? It's
Yeah.
about Al Capone.
Right.
Then when they remake Scarface, they make him this fictional character from Cuba.
Whoa.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You can like you can switch the narrative.
Al
You can
Pacino
switch the
killed that
narrative.
shit, by the way.
Yeah, you know, and that's the more classic movie than the
Yeah.
fucking Al Pacino one. The Al Pacino one was good enough for them to base a movie off that. You know what I mean?
Do you ever try to watch Scarface when you're 10 years old?
You know what? Personally, I think Scarface is one of the most overrated movies.
Oh, because you tried to watch it when you're 10 years old.
No,
you
no,
haven't
no.
watched it when you're in your
No.
20s
Do
yet.
you know what I think? It's the fact that that movie's praised so greatly, and nobody talks about Carlito's Way. And Carlito's
Oh,
Way
Carlito's
is
amazing. Are you kidding
directorial
me?
genius. It is.
Carlito's Way
It
is
is Scarface.
amazing.
It's the good version of Scarface. I mean, the story's different, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like
who was the best actor in Carlito's Way? I'm gonna say Sean Penn.
Sean Penn was
Sean Penn
great.
killed it.
Pacino also killed it. And fucking
John
Leguizamo,
Leguizamo,
Benny
yeah,
Blanco
man.
from the Bronx.
Yeah, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. You're
Yeah.
gonna remember me, yeah,
Yo,
man.
and he catches him sleeping at the subway right at
Absolutely.
the end, and yo,
Yeah.
man, but that movie, that is a great.
Carlito's Way is
Film.
good because you know what I'm saying, like karma kind of caught up to what was for the most part a good guy. You know what I mean? A guy who didn't want to be roped back in, but he
Yeah.
got roped back in by a
He had
shitty
no
lawyer.
choice. Yeah.
That's a good one. I feel you.
Scarface is just like, yo, dude comes and then within like 20 minutes he's the kingpin. You know what I mean? Like they fast forward the whole story. Anything that's like anything that's
he put in his
human about
work.
it, you know
He
what I
put in
mean?
his work.
A little bit when he
You
shot a
know.
guy in the head in the street. And, you know what I mean? Like that's like fucking gang initiation. That
He
ain't
put in
like
his
kingpin
work.
material. You know what I mean? Like
they came at him with the chainsaw. He survived
Ravinga!
it. That whole movie's great. Chichi get the yayo. That's probably my favorite line in the whole movie.
It is a
Chichi,
like-
Chichi get the yayo. That's the funniest line.
You know,
the soundtrack to the movie's great too.
It is. And I love the movie, don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
I've seen Scarface 100 million times. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like I can quote scenes word for word. Like
So
you know
you're
what I
gonna say
mean?
it's overrated? You've seen it 100
Because
times.
when you're young, you watch that movie because everybody talks about it.
Yeah.
It's on all the hip hop you love, so you're like, yo, Scarface.
Yeah.
And plus,
What about
everyone you're
Beautiful?
growing up with feels the same way. So like, you're always watching Scarface. I've watched that movie on every drug fucking possible.
What about
You know what I mean? And then like Paid in Full, I actually haven't even.
Based on a true story.
I've only seen it once, to be honest.
Okay.
I gotta rewatch that.
Okay.
But just to me,
Cam
Scarface,
killed it.
as I got older, you know what I mean? I started to like respect really good movies, like
Yeah,
Goodfellas, like movies that are like even similar topics, but they're very well directed, well written, well put together
Goodfellas, I
movies.
always felt like at the end it just got kind of really weird. You know what I mean? Like it ended, especially the way like De Niro kind of got
almost
towards
like
Tommy Hill's girl and
near
stuff.
the end,
you
it
know?
kind of like rushes. I almost feel like kind of like rushes to the end
It
of
just
a
kind of
plot
fell apart, right?
But it's still great, and I think the end, like it's still the end. Like you make a good point, but Martin Scorsese to me actually is the best director of all time in my opinion.
You ever seen Deer Hunter?
No.
Yo, that movie. You ever seen Deer Hunter?
No, I'm not too much of a movie person.
All right, so Deer Hunter's De Niro and Christopher Walken.
Okay.
And they go off to Vietnam, and in Nam they wind up getting into like a Russian roulette type game.
Yeah.
And it looks like like Christopher Walken like kills himself, but apparently he lives or whatever. So De Niro goes back after the war to go bring him back and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie Deer Hunter is one of those movies where like you just watch and you're like,
Is that Scorsese?
Great. I don't know who did
Oh,
Deer
okay.
Hunter, man. I just know it's like one of those movies with De Niro where he's not playing a gangster and
Yeah.
Christopher Walken's in it, and you're like,
Yeah, I love
shit,
when De Niro
okay.
doesn't play a gangster.
Raging
because
Bull.
there's some
Bronx Tale.
There's some
Right?
actors that I look at, like me and my girl were arguing about this and that, like she's like, I like Matthew McConaughey.
They're prototype. Or
But
they're
I'm like,
second role.
Matthew McConaughey is always the same guy.
Yeah.
Whether it's, hey man, you know what I love about these high school girls? Or whether it's a fucking the Lincoln Lawyer. Like in the Lincoln
Right,
Lawyer,
right,
he
right.
switches and has a heart. But for the first half of that movie, he's that same guy. There's that
Okay.
fucking movie where he's the pothead surfer. Like every movie he does, he's the same fucking
I
guy.
feel like he
You
is
know
a
what I mean?
pothead surfer in real life.
Yeah,
Him and
exactly.
Woody Harrelson,
Like I feel like
they're
he just like plays himself all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's one thing I can't say about De Niro, because though he does a lot of times play
Right,
the
right.
same guy, he does have those breakthrough moments where he doesn't, and he always does a phenomenal job.
That's what I really like about Bronx Tale, because that's a gangster movie. You expect De Niro to be the
To be the
gangster in
G,
that movie,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's the most regular guy in that
In the
movie,
movie,
right?
yeah.
The main character in that movie, Sonny, he's if I'm not mistaken, he's in jail for murder
Yeah.
or manslaughter, or
Something like that.
He was on Sopranos and he got messed up on oxys and he got
Yeah,
caught
yeah.
up in some crazy shit, right? So that's a little crazy, but Bronx Tale nonetheless is a great movie.
It
What
is.
what was the girl's movie? Was it Terrell Hicks?
I don't even know, man.
Remember?
Sarah Hicks was an R&B singer, no?
No, the girl, she was in Belly as well. She was DMX's girl in Belly. Regardless, she was beautiful.
Yeah, I swear
She's a
that she
beautiful
was.
woman. She was gorgeous, and that movie was really dope. I especially like how like Chaz Palminteri told me like everyone gets three great loves in their life, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Told them to go open the door and whatnot. Chivalry. Hopefully, you guys out there go watch Bronx Tale, learn a little bit about chivalry. Open the door for your ladies.
They say chivalry's
Yeah, I
dead.
think-
What do you think about that? You think
Yeah,
chivalry's
she
dead?
was an artist. I remember she used
That's
to be a
so
singer.
I was
Yeah.
right. Terrell Hicks. I had a
Yeah.
mad crush on that
Yeah,
girl.
I
So
had
she's
a- yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
Put some records in the
I
90s.
wouldn't even be surprised. But no, I don't think chivalry's dead. But I think we live in an era where people are trying. Here's what's messed up. Not necessarily chivalry's dead. People keep passing this meme around that that men are supposed to be paying for everything in the household. That the husband's
Yeah.
supposed to take care of everything. Now that might have been something back in the day.
Yep.
I don't think you can do that today.
No.
Not
Well,
with
here's-
the cost of living.
It's an easy difference as well. The fact is, and
Shout out
like no
Specs.
disrespect, I know this is already gonna come out sounding wrong.
Yeah.
But it's the point I'm making. This is not how I feel. But women wanted these rights. You wanted to be equal.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying like everyone should be equal. That's why I said the way I started. I knew it was
Absolutely,
already gonna cause
absolutely.
heat. But what I'm saying is, you wanted to work. You wanted to have a job, right?
Right.
So all that shit deaded once you start bringing an income.
Yeah.
See, the man used to come home and I seen a meme the other day, like saying something about like, should the man come home to a meal already made for him?
Yeah.
And like, there's
Or who gets
like-
served first,
Yeah,
the kid or the-
and there's
or the
there's
husband.
words on both sides of the
What up,
conversation.
cuz?
Well, either way, I think the old way of doing shit, like I think
Yeah.
the kid regardless should be served first, because
That's kind of
that's
how
the
I
one
was
to pass
thinking.
on
Kids-
pass on life, right?
Yeah.
But aside from that, you had people on both sides of the argument, but the way I see it is that's exactly when it deaded. Like, as soon as the woman was bringing in income too, and this was a shared effort,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You weren't the only one busting your ass all day. Even though
Right,
the wife
right,
was
right.
home busting her ass at
Yeah.
home, now the wife's out busting her ass at a job,
At the job.
and now
Yeah,
she's
you gotta-
still
you gotta
usually the
work.
one coming home and doing more of the fucking work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So no, you shouldn't have your meal first. If anything, your lady should have the fucking meal first. It should be the kid, the lady,
feel
then
you.
the
I
man.
feel
You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
I think everyone
I
should be
feel you.
served at the same time.
I agree.
Right?
I-
So my
I actually,
My cousin
I
just
don't
said
mean
it.
it like that, but
Yeah, no, my cousin just said it,
Yeah.
you know, herself. Like, what real man would want food before the child, though? And that's real.
Yeah,
Like,
fuck.
you know what I'm saying? I want to make sure, okay, your kids are fed. All right, boom. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting mine after. I'm not someone who's like, okay, I got to get mine before the kids, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I'm going to go out there and make sure the
My
kids
girl
are
just
taken
said,
care
I'm
of.
completely okay staying home and being a housewife.
And there's a lot of guys that are okay with that. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. If I can make money at home and I'm having kids, I have no problem staying home, taking care of the kids, and doing
Yeah.
whatever side hustle I have to do. If, you know, my wife has a job where she's making mad money and she doesn't want to, you know, do that, whatever. Like, if
And
it's
it's
going to save us money
providing
from
for us all,
exactly.
yeah. But if
Like,
we're
there's nothing wrong with
struggling,
that.
then nah, you both got to work.
Exactly. When you both got to work. And, you know, this whole meme about, you know, splitting the bills is what roommates do. Husbands take care of the household. I get it, but it's not
No.
1920.
Do you,
Yeah.
you know
what
how I
mean?
feel about that? I feel like men, you know, like for the majority of the time, you know, as long as it's your idea
Yeah.
to date, whatever, you know, especially, but like you should be paying for meals. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
there's like certain men courtesy
sure,
you
for
kind of
sure.
do,
For
but
sure.
like in an era where like your girl might be bringing home more money than you are. You know what I mean? Like you think really that he should be the one paying for everything?
that,
You
bro.
think, you know, like. No, it ain't like that. Those are old ideologies. And
Yeah,
the same with the
absolutely.
fucking feeding the man when he gets home, all that
Yeah,
dumb shit. Like
yeah.
all that shit's are old ideologies.
Absolutely.
And
That to me is just stuff like it's a society where it's like, oh, you gotta put the man first before everything. To be honest with you, it's
Nah.
like if you out there and you hustling and you busting your ass and you doing whatever, regardless if you're single or you're with a family, you're good.
yeah.
But if you're lazy and you expect your wife to take care of you,
Nah.
yeah, she should kick your
Nah.
ass out the house. You
Yeah,
need to go get
exactly.
yours. You got to contribute. And same thing with the woman. You know what I mean? Like if your woman's not contributing the same way, and you know you guys are doing certain things, and you got to break it down and be like, hey, what's up? Because unfortunately, the cost of living hasn't kept up with the dollar.
With
Yeah.
inflation.
With inflation
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
Not at
if
all.
the cost of living had kept up with inflation and you could still buy a house for $40,000
Isn't
and
it
take care of your
crazy?
family,
You think
yeah,
about back in
you
the
can't do
days,
that.
our grandparents, you know, they had one 40-hour-a-week
Yeah.
job,
Yeah.
And that could
was
take
enough
care of
money to take care of
everything.
all 8 kids,
Yeah.
the house, the mortgage, everything.
You could go to
Groceries.
school in the summertime
Yeah.
and pay for your college or university education for the upcoming year and probably buy yourself
Yeah.
a car to go to school
Yeah.
with
So,
just
yeah,
from a
that-
summer job. You can't.
But see,
Yeah.
and now when you talk
Summer
about
job
this,
won't even get you tokens.
I have a
So-
personal opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but
Yeah.
when you look at the inflation and the way this has happened, to me, this is conscribed. This has been happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like what I think there was a goal from corporate rich people who control most of the money in the planet, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think the ideology, especially in the Western world, where money was almost like free for all, like everybody could get some money. You know what
it's
I
the
mean?
American Dream period.
But what I think happened is that they wanted to destroy the middle class, and it's happened.
Yeah.
And this is one big thing I like to talk about to people sometimes too, right? Because like. Me and my homie at my job, we're talking about this today, but he's like, you know, like he said something about a car I drove by. He's like, oh, it's a nice Bentley. I'm like, actually, that's a Rolls Royce. I'm like, but I don't even think it's like that nice. You know what I mean? Like, because one thing I'll never do is I'll never look at a guy drive by in a car and turn my head and look at it twice. Because that's that attention they're looking for. And the reason why I say this is because the thing is, people drive different level cars, all this shit, right? But the thing is, they destroyed the middle class a long time ago. Now, a person who makes $40,000 a year and $140,000 a year, in 9 times out of 10, they are the exact same fucking person and they're on the same class level. Because the only difference is the person who brings in 140 over 40, the guy who brings in 40 owns a Mazda or a fucking Honda he's paying off. The guy who makes 140 is paying off a Range Rover or a fucking, you know what I mean, some car that's out of his means. Like we all live without our means, but to a degree where it's manageable. And it's the same thing, and then that's why we're all the lower class. Like the guy who makes $140,000 a year is in the same class as you and me, but we still have this ideology that a middle class exists, but it does not. There's the rich.
Yeah.
And then there's us.
Okay.
And if there is a middle class, then it's these people we're looking at like celebrities who are worth like 3.5 net mil and stuff.
Yeah.
They're the middle class. Because we look at them like these are the richest people in the world. But really, these people are like, they're nowhere close to the richest people in the world.
I'm not even gonna lie. You dropping a lot of numbers right now. They're really high, and I'm kind of getting offended because I can't. No, I feel you, man. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think like we live in a world where you could hustle and you could get yours.
You can.
Now there are gonna be some things that when you're younger, you might not be able to do certain things and whatnot. But we live in a world where if you really, really want to go out and get it, you can kind of get it. And we live in a world where you can now get rich off of your passions if you just kind of apply that work. You know what I mean? There's fucking 6-year-old kids, I'm sorry for swearing, but there's 6-year-old kids that are getting rich off of YouTube from toy reviews. You know what I mean? And it's just their passion. You know what I'm saying? Like, so one thing I learned more so than anything is like, if you want to do something, if you're passionate about it, just do it.
See where
And
it
if you,
goes.
otherwise you're gonna complain. You're gonna say, you know what? I could have did this. I could have got rich. I could have prospered. And the
You
whole
know
thing
what?
is, some people settle on the idea
Hey,
of just
yep.
being able to say, I could have.
Yeah.
They want to be in a room and say, I was the best at this. I could have
But
done
I
this,
didn't push.
but I didn't
Yeah.
because I didn't try. Where there's others that could say, hey, I wanted to be the best. I might not have become the best, but I gave it my all. And
Yeah.
I feel amazing because I went out there and gave it my all.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between someone who's going to complain about where they're at in life and someone who's going to go out and at least try
Don't you
and
hate
say,
complainers?
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah,
but
I
at the
do.
same time, I kind of complain a lot too. But you know what I mean, though? Like, that's the difference between someone who's going to go out and kind of like get it and someone who's going to put their all into it versus someone who's going to just sit there and say, okay, I wanted to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
Now, the only time I argue with your logic
yeah.
is that if you want to get rich off what you love,
Yeah.
just as long as what you love isn't
Hip-hop in Toronto?
anti-capitalist
Yeah.
or exposing a system of
Yeah.
something that's layered behind what what you're supposed to be viewed as.
Hey, Alex
And
Jones
and
got rich off
well,
of
this
his,
is what I was
his
gonna
crazy
say,
shit
and
that he's
that's
been
to bring
doing.
it back to last week. Though he may have said some hateful shit, he may
Yeah.
have said some shit that people feel like
Yeah.
they had the right to take him away. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like he was pushing a certain narrative generally.
Yeah.
Whether the extreme shit he said on certain ends, he was pushing a narrative.
Yeah.
And he's not allowed to get rich off YouTube anymore. So-
Yeah.
And that's an issue when they start to put their hand in and decide, yeah, I don't like what this guy
Yeah, I
said.
don't
I
like what
think,
you're saying is a
honestly,
problem.
If the say the was the Sandy Hook?
Sandy Hook? Yeah, Sandy Hook.
shit. No, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. But anyways,
No, he was trying to say that Sandy Hook didn't happen, and that's what
Yeah.
caused him some issues and whatnot.
Yeah, well,
But,
that's
you know,
exactly it.
whatever.
And we covered
Yeah.
all that last week.
Yeah, but no, but at the end of
just
the
to
day, though,
bring it
man,
on that.
anything that you want to do in life, you know what I mean, you just gotta try. For example, I met Mike here going to Trebas because I said I wanted to get involved with the music industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people at my time, my age at that time, they weren't really willing to kind of even leave Scarborough where we lived. I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to a school and invest in it.
Yeah.
I met this dude. We're going on at least knowing each other for almost 17 years
That's
off the
crazy.
strength of that.
Yeah.
Now we're at a point in my life where 95% of the friends that I have are people that I've met from this industry.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in this room speaking to you
Nope.
Yeah.
if it wasn't because of this
We met through that
industry,
hip-hop.
right? We
Same
met
with Stone.
through
I met Stone. I
Exactly.
literally was just friends.
But
with
it's just a
Stone
matter
on
of-
Facebook,
Yeah.
and we seen each other at a show and
Exactly.
continue the debate he started on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we're building on that. Me, you,
Yeah.
and
Who was
Kareem.
at the time, man? I forgot.
But, it was just a matter
we were all
of
just sitting out there shooting the shit, talking about I
Yeah.
think it was Wu-Tang shit or something,
Yeah.
it was something like that. But and we're like, and that was the first time I met either of
Yeah.
you guys. But I
Right.
actually got both of my friends.
Oh, I
we
think
like,
his name was Kareem.
yeah, it was Kareem.
Yeah,
Yeah, slick.
But it was a matter of just
Yeah.
doing it, though. You know what I'm saying? It's a matter of just saying,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna give myself excuses for why it can't happen.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna,
The
whatever.
mind
You
is the
just gotta
most
fucking do it.
powerful
Yeah.
tool in the world.
Absolutely.
And people don't give it enough credit.
Well, I think the problem is, saying like some people come into their own a little bit earlier in life, and if you
Yeah.
go through a lot of adversity earlier on in your teens,
I think
you're
it's
probably gonna mature a lot faster
sooner,
in your
yeah.
teens. If not, you're gonna go into your 20s and you're kind of gonna grow into your own as you kind of go out and do the whole clubbing thing and
know
interact with
what?
people. And by the time you're 30, you're gonna come a little bit more into your own. You
I
know
like
what I
to
mean?
think I'm like the most mature person in the world.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I get that. I get
I'm,
that.
I'm immature
Most
as
immature,
fuck. I got
mature
like
person.
poop and pee jokes out the fucking ass.
I don't know, I might have you
I
beat
love
on that
joking about-
one.
I love joking about fucking stupid sex shit.
Listen.
You know what I mean? Watch No Content Podcast, you know that. But
Yeah.
at
There
the
you
same
go.
time, you know
Why
what I
haven't
mean?
I
Like,
been on
I was
that yet?
having these kind of conversations with people before they even wanted to have them. Like I was
Yeah.
the dude at the party,
Yeah.
fucking talking about shit, and
People
dudes are
getting
like,
pissed off.
"Shut the fuck up
Yeah,
already!" Like,
absolutely.
go back and freestyle, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like some shit like that.
The juxtaposition, you could either joke around or you could be absolutely serious. It's
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
two. No, that's
So
dope.
I think that's a good balance to have too, though. You gotta
Yeah.
be, age ain't nothing but a number. You said that on a post today.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
Halle Berry,
Yeah.
52 years old, looking
Oh.
great for 52.
Oh,
by
she
the
looks
way.
amazing for
Yeah,
52.
yeah.
Shout out Halle Berry, because she could step in. Hold up. I feel like I'm having a dyslexic moment there. Let me rephrase that. Let me say that
You're getting
again.
Excited.
Halle Berry can still definitely get it from me. I don't know what happened there with my tongue. It was getting tongue-tied and stuff, but she's still gorgeous,
She's gonna
man.
look good.
Oh, for
Hey.
sure. Oh, for sure, man.
90, 100.
Have you seen that 65-year-old, she was a black woman, the bodybuilder and
Yeah,
whatnot?
yeah.
She looks amazing. Like she's got just absolutely tight skin. You can't see any wrinkles on her, nothing.
Oh, word.
Sophie Loren's
Word.
another one. You ever seen Sophie Loren? Like she looks great for her age,
Nah.
man. She looks really dope. So there's some ladies out there that really know how to maintain it and hold it together, you know, when they get older. You know what they say though, man, black don't crack. So Halle Berry's
Hey.
definitely showing us that, you know, and let me ask you a question.
All right.
Do you use moisturizer?
Fuck no.
Oh,
you know
man.
Do you know what's funny?
Man, go ahead.
I got
I'm
one
gonna talk
I
on
got
Go
one
ahead.
Italian friend who
I
talks
just had to
about
ask that.
moisturizing.
Yeah.
But the only other friends I ever really have talked
Are
to
your
me
black
with-
friends?
Yeah, my black friends.
Okay. I don't
Not
know
even,
if
not even my East Indian, none of my Asian people know nothing. It's
Listen.
usually just my black friends.
Listen.
I got one Italian dude.
Have you
who's
seen
all
the
about
Bill Burr?
moisturizing.
Have you seen the Bill Burr comedy special on moisturizer?
No.
The only reason why I brought that up is because saying black don't crack. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And then I thought about it for a second. Let me ask Maloney if he uses moisturizer. Shout out to my dude Specs One because
Hey.
Specs One don't use moisturizer
Yeah.
either. You know what I'm saying? We had a long talk about that, and it's like, wait a minute, y'all don't know what this is. You had
that's-
jars of that shit in your house. I'd imagine growing up, right? Cocoa butter,
Oh yeah.
moisturizer.
Yeah.
Is it really a cultural thing?
You
Moisturizer?
don't want to be ashy.
So
Right? That's what I'm saying. You don't
actually,
want to be
do you know
ashy.
what's
So
funny?
what's
You
up
said
with
that. I was actually gonna say that. Like, do you
Say it.
think? Firstly, do you
Yeah.
think black don't crack because y'all motherfuckers use moisturizer?
Absolutely.
And we don't? But
Absolutely.
secondly, and do you think you guys are more inclined to use it because, like, if my skin look ashy,
How would I
it's
know?
not as
Yeah,
Right,
noticeable.
exactly.
Yeah,
I'm like,
not
I tan
noticeable.
pretty good, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you'd notice it on me, like, especially in the winter. My knuckles get hella ashy. Like,
Right.
but
I
I
can't
don't
do
use
nothing.
moisturizer. I just got, like, hand cream and shit. You know,
Yeah.
that shit that, like, kind of is like a band-aid to the issue,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No,
I have to
absolutely.
look into moisturizer. My skin gets hella dry, but unless my ashy ass split knuckles in the winter, which
Yeah.
you will notice, you usually don't notice it on me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? My
No, that's
elbows
what
will be
I'm
mad
saying.
dry, you don't
Yeah.
notice it. So do you think that's another reason
I
why
think
you
that's
guys
probably
use
it,
moisturizer?
yeah.
No, absolutely, because I don't like handling anything, especially in the wintertime. If my hands are dry, my skin's dry, I can't touch anything. I can't feel it. I can't do nothing. It's just like, I feel like I just have bricks for hands.
So like it like it's psychological, like it bothers
Kind
you
of,
inside too.
Kind of, but just like even in the morning, I was talking about
See,
this with
even
my
me,
girl
like-
yesterday. Like in the morning when I wake up, just throw some water on my face.
Yeah.
Until I put a little bit of moisturizer on my face, I feel like a zombie. I feel like my face is all yellow and chalky and
Word.
ashy, and just my eyes ain't opening properly. Once I throw it down, it's like, okay, yo, I'm alive. I got some
Say
glow. I
word.
got some blood flowing through my
Holy shit.
face. Like,
Well, do you know what's crazy about that? Like myself, it don't,
Right.
that's why I don't use moisturizer.
Yeah.
I just get the hand creams and shit like that when I need them.
Put on the hands,
It don't
yeah.
bother me. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I could like my dry hands, cool, whatever. It's not until the skin starts splitting, which
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah.
and my lips get
Yeah.
really bad. So I always got
Yeah,
Blistex in there because it got
Yeah.
that nice medicated cream and shit, But aside from that, like the
Trying to
shit
get
don't
that
bother me,
Blistex
except for
promo.
the spots that split, which
Yeah.
is like my fingers, my knuckles,
Yeah.
and my fucking lips. Aside from that, like I'm like I'm good.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Even though my skin's itchy and shit because it's dry, like literally,
Yeah,
I've been
that's
there
why
in the
it's dry,
winter.
'cause you're not
I've been
using
there in the winter
moisturizer.
before, scratching my shoulders and
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? I can see dandruff coming off my shoulders
Yeah.
because my skin's so fucking dry.
No,
But it
absolutely.
don't bother me. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
No, my cousin says it feels like if you don't put lotion on your face, it's like you smile, your face is gonna crack. No, and that's absolutely
no,
how
I don't feel that way at all. But you know what? I also have super oily skin. Like you
Yeah.
look at me right now, how greasy am I?
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm greasy as shit. I didn't get to shower after work before I got here.
Well, that's definitely a
but
thing, you know.
I'm
I mean,
a
like
greasy motherfucker.
different cultures actually have like different kind of oils that
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
they kind of produce, and I guess it's kind of based on, I guess, where they're from, for where their family's
Yeah.
from for thousands of years. But that's definitely just an interesting thing, you know what I mean? Like I had to ask that question because I had this conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
I've had this conversation with other friends, other white friends, and it's just
Yo, can we
hilarious.
restart that one?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's dead. It's dead. All right. So we only got that angle for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've
Yeah,
had
we
that
got that
conversation
angle
with
back.
friends, and it's just hilarious to see their reaction. Like, oh, I don't use moisturizer. What's moisturizer? And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? You do not use moisturizer. But I think that is a big reason why, certain people, their skin, I guess they look younger at a later age.
Yeah.
It's water. Our bodies are 70% water.
Yeah.
At least 70% water, if not more, and you kind of need some moisturizer shit. And, but whatever, teach his own. I just had to ask that. I had to, get that out there.
And you know what, actually? So now after talking about that, because be black don't crack actually is a
wanna hear?
stereotype.
Yeah, why
One
not?
thing I would like to discuss is because I have an Asian friend I work with,
Yeah.
right? And we talk race and shit all the time
Yeah.
and like fight back for ideas. And like he's more racist than I am. You know what I mean? But like you wouldn't believe it. Like but like in his justifications for
Okay.
shit. But so we're talking the one day,
Yeah.
right? And he's like talking about how him and his friends joke, and he's like,
Yeah.
I got my one white friend, like he's super racist, he always dropping Asian jokes and shit. I'm like, well, do you like drop white jokes on him? He's like, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
so it's a mutual thing, it's cool.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know
they
what I
kind
mean?
of, they
Yeah.
just they
It's
cut
one of
jokes
those
on
things,
each
like,
other.
You got friends
That's
where you
what
like
friends do.
you're comfortable, you can do
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
the difference is in racism, for one, the doesn't see an issue with just saying that to somebody
Right,
random,
right, right.
and that's like a public thought. But
Yeah.
this is the one thing that I brought up when we started talking about it. We started talking about stereotypes,
Yeah.
and the difference in what makes a stereotype racist or not. Because like we were just talking about black don't crack, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Easy topic to talk about.
Right,
But then
right,
when you
right.
start to talk about other things that are stereotypes, like let's say, you know what I mean? Well, like white people, you know, that, like to me, I think the white people stereotypes are the funniest shit in the world. Like I laugh my ass off at them. But
What are some of the white stereotypes? I'm curious. What
oh,
the hell
like
the
you,
white
you never see
stereotypes
like
are?
memes and shit like that, but like, you know, like Dave Chappelle's the best. Anytime
Yeah.
he talks to like a white person's in a conversation, well, I'm telling you, Jimmy, it
Oh,
was
just the voice.
like all
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
really
yeah.
the funny shit in the world. Because
Yeah.
like we're not all like that,
Yeah.
but a lot of us are stupid idiots like that. You know what I mean? Like it's so funny to me. Like I love white stereotypes. Like when people
Yeah.
crack on white people, like I think it's the funniest shit in the world. But and I see where it gets sensitive in other places. But the one thing I wanted to ask is like, what's the difference between? Because I can give you my answer after
Yeah.
like, what,
Yeah.
what we discussed. But what's the difference between a racist stereotype and a stereotype that's agreeable?
Well, you know, a racist stereotype would be like,
Sometimes,
okay, hold on.
sometimes they don't have to be positive and
Yeah.
they're still considered racist, though. You know
No,
what I mean?
put it
Like
like
food
this.
you eat and shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
here's an example. Sorry, not to
Yeah,
cut you
yeah,
off,
yeah.
but the
Go ahead,
example
go
I
ahead, go
use, he's like, he said something about something, right? Like, you know, and I'm like, well, here, I'm like, here's an example. I'm like, if you're talking to black people and you're like, yeah, you love watermelon, you love chicken, right? That's racist. But if you're to talk to an Asian person and you're like, you love rice, it's actually really not that racist.
Oh, it's a foundation food. It's a
Yeah.
It's
staple
a
food.
fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I
Kind
said to him. I'm like, the difference in race in stereotypes that are racist and not racist
Yeah.
is how factual they are.
Well,
And
I'll
I'm
give you an
like, and it's
example.
not true. Not every Asian person on the planet loves
Yeah,
rice.
yeah,
Like, there
yeah.
are some that don't like it,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
But
If
the
you
large majority,
really
that is a foundation food, right?
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I mean?
absolutely.
The
Staple.
large majority
It's
of,
like potatoes
of
in North
black
America.
people on the planet, like chicken and watermelon is not a foundational food.
Yeah.
That comes from a different root.
Yeah.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So there's, and that's what I tried to explain to him. I was like, to me, that's the difference in a. But either way, continue.
Yeah.
Well,
like-
I would say the difference is, you know, like a racist stereotype would be like black people like chicken and watermelon, versus a true stereotype would be like black people have huge penises. I'm just like,
And again-
I knew you were gonna take it
And
there.
again, that's not-
Yo, but you know what? You know what the other stereotype is? You are half Asian, my
yeah,
man.
yeah. So I balance out. I'm like 50-50 on the
So you
scale.
got
I know
white-
exactly
you
where
got
you're
white
going with
man
that.
dick. You're a grower.
No, that. Okay, so we need to. So Maloney, no. You weren't here for the joke. So Maloney drinks a drink, a cider. It's called Growers.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I asked him if he wanted a beer,
Endorse.
and he's like, no, I got some ciders. And I looked over, the name on it was Growers. So I go, so you're a grower, not a shower. And he didn't really get the joke.
I didn't get
And
it.
I had to break it down to him with the whole like grower versus shower thing. So shout out to the growers that are out there.
The
Shout out
grows
to the
are grows.
showers
The
and.
grows are grows.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. Shout out to the guys who work with what they got and don't give a damn about what they
Hey,
got because they
that's the way to do
confident
it.
with it
That's the way
anyways.
to do it.
Exactly, man. You got 10 fingers, you got a tongue, you got other options, but
Hey.
if you're blessed, you're blessed. Shout out to those that are blessed like myself.
Right?
I'm just
Thoughts on the
playing
subject?
around.
Like I said, if it's a positive one, and like he said, that's one of the positive ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a
But
joke.
then you
though.
got
There's so
ones
many
where
more negatives.
Asians are smart,
Yeah.
right? That's not a negative stereotype.
Right.
But some of them still take offense to
I know that because they only think that everybody thinks they're
Yeah,
this type of way.
Yeah.
But it's not technically very
Yeah.
negative. It's like when even Jay-Z said about Jews on the record,
Right.
when he said, I can't say word for word, but why they so successful. I'll
Yeah.
show you how. And then ADL was trying to get on him
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that.
Which is weird, but
He-
yeah.
But I get where they're coming
What
from.
even who said the line
Hey,
about
Dennis, what up, homie?
what line is it? Oh, on Puff Daddy, all about the Benjamins. Like
Yeah.
Jada, they black up stacked chips like Hebrews.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so like that is
Yeah.
actually a positive stereotype, but they still take offense to it.
Yeah, or the whole thing about
Yeah, I think
you hear
there's
a lot of rap
positive-
is about lawyers.
Yeah.
They're Jewish.
Yeah.
But if they are majority Jewish, the ones they deal with,
Hold on.
then what are you gonna say?
Yeah.
Are you guys Curb Your Enthusiasm fans?
No.
Nah, big on-
So there's an
yeah.
episode where Larry's getting. If you guys watch, I'm a huge fan. Seinfeld fans? You guys Seinfeld fans?
You know
So
what? I
Curb to
personally
me
not
is-
really either.
Okay, Curb to me is Seinfeld on like the best blunt you've ever smoked. Like Curb is just like it's crazy. So there's one episode where Larry is getting divorced from his wife Cheryl.
Yep.
And he goes to his lawyer. He discovers his lawyer's not Jewish, and Larry is Jewish. So he's all pissed off because this guy is like not necessarily faking it,
Pissed
but
off.
he's got like the horn on his desk,
Yeah.
and his name seems kind of Jewish. The way his hair is cut, everything.
Yeah.
So Larry finds out this guy's not Jewish, and he's like, yo,
Like,
all
kind
right.
of look Hasidic and shit.
Kind of, right?
Yeah.
So Larry dumps him and gets a Jewish lawyer
yeah.
to complete this divorce.
Yeah.
He winds up losing like almost everything once he goes with this lawyer, right? So I think just the stereotype
Yeah.
that they were trying to break down in the show was like,
Not
hey,
every Jewish lawyer is a good one.
Exactly,
Yeah, true,
right?
right?
Absolutely.
But in rap music, the idea of the Jewish lawyer is perpetuated
It kind of
to the
is.
highest degree.
I think that would probably
Like,
be because of who we were talking about
Exactly.
earlier, which is Lyra
Yeah.
Cohen, which is probably one of the most powerful men ever in the history of hip hop.
Yeah.
So I think it goes back to
Yeah.
Lyra Cohen,
Jimmy Iovine.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Iovine,
Paul Rosenberg.
The list goes on.
yeah,
Paul Rosenberg, who was Eminem's lawyer,
Yeah.
or who he was rappers' lawyers and became. He was a
Yeah.
lawyer that became a manager, which actually happens a lot. But so I don't even know if we should take it there, but
But
If
end
we-
of the
if we-
day,
I don't know where you're trying to
but
take
at the end of
it.
the day, the positive stereotypes
Yeah.
are not looked at as poorly. If you say like white men can't jump, that's one that's not a positive one.
Right,
I
right.
think it's
But-
hilarious. We can't
Yeah,
jump.
but that's
I
what
don't know many white dudes who could really
I don't know,
jump.
man.
I
One of the
know.
best,
Another
one of the best
one.
slam dunkers in the world right now. I don't know if you've seen his video. There's a white dude out there who just kills it on the
But see,
slam
and
dunk.
that's why
tip. Like,
no
it's the most
stereotype-
creative shit I've
This
seen
is
in the
why no
world.
stereotype is true, because there's exceptions to the matter.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Asian people who don't like rice. There's black people who
Yeah.
don't have big penises.
Yeah.
And there are white people
I get-
who do not talk like
Yeah.
this, Ryan. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's
I feel you, I feel
but
you.
There's exceptions to every stereotype,
Yeah.
so none of them are completely
Yeah.
true. So
No,
that's
absolutely.
that's why I find it funny, like how certain ones. But
Stick.
that's how I try. That's what. Either way, it was a
Yeah.
conversation between me and an Asian friend, and that like he was kind of talking
Just
his
cutting back
perspective,
and forth.
and I'm almost like, yo, you're kind of more racist than me because
Yeah.
like.
Well,
The way you look at stereotypes and shit, I'm like,
almost like it's real.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you have to break it down, like, because he was even like giving stereotypes on other Asian cultures, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that's not like necessarily true,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He's like, oh,
Absolutely.
well, like it is. I'm like, but no, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's exceptions to every rule, right? And that's when the
Yeah.
rice
Oh,
thing came into
absolutely.
play. But then I'm like, but chicken and watermelon, I'm like, that's offensive.
And a lot of Asian people like love.
But you know why chicken and watermelon? Like,
No, absolutely.
but
Fried
you know,
chicken
I-
probably
I
came
love
from
chicken and
Asia.
watermelon.
Not
But-
even gonna lie.
And the thing is that.
That just reminded me of House
To me-
Party 3.
to me, the
Chinese
difference-
people don't eat fried chicken food.
Like to me, the difference is like rice culturally is the main like
It's like a staple.
It's a
It-
staple.
It's the staple. It's the
It's like
starch in a lot of their
potatoes.
meals, right?
Absolutely.
As to
It's the
where
potatoes of
watermelon
Asia.
and fried chicken is a southern fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
you
that's
can't grow
a very
watermelon in
s-
Canada, can you?
No, you know that's a southern
Yeah.
fucking like stereotype, and
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the
yeah.
roots of it is what makes one different than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, and
feel you.
even though like 'cause
It's,
one's not
the roots of that
necessarily
comes from
negative.
Jim Crow culture.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I'm saying. And like, it's not like I love watermelon chicken. That's
Yeah.
not a bad stereotype,
No, no.
but it's the roots of it.
Yeah.
Right,
and it's
right.
the infactuality of it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like when it doesn't actually speak for a majority, but it's actually more of like a slander towards what a representation
Yeah.
of the majority should
Yeah.
be, is what makes a stereotype
yeah.
negative opposed to positive.
Positive.
Like,
You
Yeah.
know, there's good stereotypes, there's bad stereotypes, there's
Yeah.
stereotypes all around. You
actually, I
know?
would love to hear people, whoever's watching this, hit
Tell
us
some
with their best
positive
white
stereotypes.
stereotypes, because I will howl. I love that shit, man. I love that shit.
Absolutely. So I'm saying we should probably hit up Do.
Yeah,
Give
that's
Do
probably
a
a
call.
good
You know,
idea. That's probably a
let me
good
see,
idea.
where's this email at? Give Do a call. Talk about this Northern Power Summit.
You know what I'm
What's
actually
going on
do?
this weekend?
I'll run out for a smoke quick, and you can use my mic to talk to him.
Okay. All right, we can do that. All right.
Because if we're trying to put him on a mic and then like,
Oh,
you know what I
start it
mean?
Right here, like this, like that ain't no problem at all.
I don't know. If
We
it's
try.
gonna-
We try.
We try.
Let's give him
We
a call.
We try.
All right, so we're gonna give Dio a call. For those of y'all watching who don't know who Dio is,
Yo, Mike.
For those of y'all watching who don't know who Dio is a legendary Toronto rapper. At one point in time, he did hold the Guinness World Record for the longest freestyle ever of all time. I think it was something like 24 hours or something crazy like that. And he holds a yearly summit called the Northern Power Summit, where he just kind of gives you information to empower yourself as an artist. And you know, as much as this is Turono Talks, we are all somehow, some way affiliated with the music industry, and we want to help our artists. So I figured, you know what, let me give my homeboy a call. Let me, let him break down what's going on with this Northern Power Summit, and just kind of take it from there. So let's see if Dio picks up the call here.
I literally didn't even know he was doing it. I saw the post everywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was behind it, which is cool.
Okay, so let's give him a call. See what's up. Let's see if Mr. Dio picks up.
Whew.
All right.
Hey.
But shout out to everybody
I
who's
forgot to
watching,
put on the
man.
headphones. It's
Thank you guys all for your comments.
It's okay.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
next time we're in here, I'll get you a pair of headphones.
No, they're right
I got-
here. They're sitting right here.
Oh, you got them?
They're right here. I don't
No,
know
if they're
work.
plugged in and shit, yo, let's try. Let's try it.
What's going on?
You know what? I think they might be. You know what? I think I had to figure this out for someone since we did this last. Yo, try it
What's
out.
going on?
I think they might work.
See if Theo
Give it a
picks
shot.
up.
It works.
You hear it?
Definitely. Yep.
Yo, there we go. Yo, we're all good now. See, now you guys will be able to hear too. Well, Dustin already could, but you
Yeah.
can hear when you're peaking and shit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know what level, and you can hear when you
Oh,
can't hear
man.
yourself in the mic.
Yeah.
So it's like a constant reminder to
Yeah.
yourself to either be closer or
Theo
less.
didn't pick up, so we're gonna call him back in a second.
Hey.
Shout out my
I feel-
homeboy
I feel
Deagle. What's
good
up,
now more
homie?
in the studio.
What up to my cousin Lee watching? What's up? Let me text Theo and see if he is available for this call.
Word.
But yeah,
So yeah,
man.
people watching, you know what I mean? The viewership's gone down a little bit since we've been talking.
That's okay,
But you
'cause-
know what? Everybody watching, you know what I'm saying?
We still got to put this on the radio anyway, so
Yeah.
we're gonna get our radio listeners, which will hopefully increase the online listeners, which will hopefully increase the radio listeners, and synergy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It'll all work together. All right, we'll see what's up with Theo. We'll try to give him a call, but we could call in a couple moments.
Bring them back.
Let's that's what's up, cuz. Let's talk about that Giorgio Mammalini comment. You guys hear that shit
I
that
didn't
Giorgio
so I
said?
didn't get to read it yet. I
No?
seen you posted it, and I seen the
Yeah.
article, and I seen the shit that he did say, but I didn't read the whole article yet.
Well,
Like,
first,
that's-
let me start this.
and
Let me
you know
preface
funny,
this by
it ties
saying
into something we didn't talk about last week that
Yeah.
I wanted to, which is regentrification
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So this all ties
gentrification is
in.
real.
So either
Gentrification's
way, break down the knowledge for the people.
All right, well, I just want to preface this by saying, I'm going to look directly into the camera. Fuck Rebel Media. You guys are shit disturbers, first and foremost. You guys are really trying to just cause shit. So fuck you guys. I've kind of been on a fuck Rebel Media tip for the last couple years. Sorry anybody watching who's, kind of watching and thinking, oh man, it's foul language, but fuck Rebel Media, because you guys are shit disturbers. Second of all, what I want to say is, the protest that we had this Saturday was really successful. Very little
Actually,
to
I did want
no
to talk about
white
that, but
supremacists
we'll
showed
bring
up.
that up after.
But what happened with the Giorgio Mammalini thing is he did an interview for Rebel Media, and he's specifically talking about Jane and Finch, and he referred to the residents as cockroaches, saying that they should be evicted from the buildings and that they should tear down the buildings in that particular area, and that these people, there's no wonder why these people are angry and why they grow up to be killers and this, that, and the other. And what I think is, that's really, really, really messed up. To refer to people as cockroaches.
I agree with you completely. I just want to ask a question before you continue. Why does he want to tear it down? Is it to regentrify?
To regentrify. He wants to build a more integrated,
Continue with your point.
integrated housing complex. So, one, referring to people as cockroaches, that's just completely dehumanizing those people. Two, to classify an entire area and pretty much say you need to razz this entire area. These people pretty much saying no wonder they grow up angry and they go on to kill people and this, that, and the other. You're just classifying an entire area. You're just saying the whole area is scum. You're saying that there's nobody in that area who's of any decency or anything of that nature. When there are plenty of people who've grown up in that area who are decent, and they're probably, I would say 90%, if to not 95%, people who are more decent than the 5% who are indecent. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just how it particularly is. But the main thing is, when politicians start, and again, there was another politician who came out and said some similar stuff this weekend as well. And when these politicians start catering to just that type of attitude, and start saying that stuff, it kind of gets really, 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 really nasty. And we're seeing that in the South. We're kind of seeing that here.
Humanizing thing in the world.
Right.
And I'm not glad, but I like how it tied into actually something that I really want to talk about that we were discussing before the show last week.
Right.
And it ties right into it, and it is regentrification. In my opinion, so firstly, this is my example I like to build on, just to give people groundwork for it. Because, people in our generation, they don't even realize, if you don't learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? And you have to understand history to understand why things are the way they are. Everybody grows up in this world we live in, and they're like, things are the way they are.
Absolutely.
Either they're like this because someone before us thought better. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even think about it. But when you learn why a lot of things are the way they are, you're like, this is for a fucked up reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So in this
we find out the root cause.
Exactly. Because
Absolutely.
everything builds from a root cause and then it continues, right?
Well, I think we're in the industry of not solving problems at the root cause. We're just in the industry of kind of like
Band-Aids.
applying topical,
Band-Aid.
right?
You know
a
what?
Band-Aid,
That is a whole
a
nother
topical
conversation.
cream.
That's a whole
You
nother
make more
conversation.
money
'Cause
selling
we
a
could talk
1,000
about
Band-Aids.
GMOs. We could talk about
Yeah,
big
yeah.
farm. We could talk
But I'm
about,
just talking socialistical.
I know, but I'm saying
Socialistical.
Band-Aid is the way of capitalism.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a whole nother thing. Like, we almost need a whole other after. I'm gonna write that shit down. Where's the pen? Band-Aid.
No, Band-Aid
Remind me,
solutions
Band-Aid.
versus
Nellie's
getting to the
face.
root cause.
Nellie's face. Yeah.
Instead of getting to the root cause
That's
of
like a
problems, we
whole
just Band-Aid
conversation.
solution problems,
But
right?
what we were discussing though was regentrification.
Yeah.
And so what, like, the thing I think is crazy is, okay, so firstly in Toronto is to me, watching half a region get torn down,
Right.
to me was just like disgusting.
Right,
Because
right, right.
Regent Park is the first project.
They were.
And I don't know about
It's
the
crazy
world,
to
but
learn
North
that.
America. So when you look at what happened with the Cross Bronx Expressway
Right,
in New York
right.
City and stuff, and the way that they treated
tore it
the
down to
Italians
build,
and
yeah.
Irish and Polish people differently than the black people, and the black people and
Yeah.
the Latino people and the segregated colored people got to live in these fucking
Yeah.
compiled houses they live. All
Yeah.
these blueprints and maps were built actually from the
Toronto.
first projects
Yeah.
we built, Regent Park.
That's
now, I think it's
crazy.
fucked up
That's
when
crazy
you
history
create
right
this
there.
type of a system,
Yeah.
and then what? Now all of a sudden, because it's more beneficial to build a skyscraper there, and it's more profitable for the
Yeah.
city, and white
Well,
people who
one
got
place they
fucking
need to
money,
look at-
you're gonna be like, all right, well, you know what? We can justify taking
Right,
these
right.
people and tearing them down. Like,
Yeah.
see, to me, I'm like, all right. Firstly, I don't agree with projects. I don't agree with
Yeah,
that
That's
shit
true,
to
cuz
begin
that's
with.
100% true.
But if you're gonna have this type of system and this is something you're gonna implement, then you gotta live with the fucking repercussions.
Yeah.
You can't come into someone's neighborhood and be like, you gotta move
Well,
now.
there's one place we could look at, Chicago. What happened after they tore down the Cabrini Green projects?
Yeah.
What happened after 2002, 2003? They tore down those projects. The crime went through the roof because what happens is you're dispersing people who are involved, let's say in that particular, but they live in one particular. Some.
No,
You know,
I'm
but
using
they're
that
disper-
just as a
but they're
loose term.
dispersing.
This is how they
Yeah,
feel.
yeah. But they're dispersing some people who live in a particular area who are involved in a particular life, and now they have to
Yeah.
move out to other areas, and
Yeah.
they have to kind of like, reintegrate themselves. You know what I mean? And it caused a huge explosion in Chicago as far as crime. And if they're to go in and let's say tear down Gene, where are those people going to live? Where are those people going to move? They're going to have to move to
Migrate
other parts
somewhere.
of this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
That's what we're
happens a lot
seeing
of
in
times-
Regent Park, right?
Well, what happens in a lot of times in a controlled regentrification,
Right.
is like what happened with the Cross Bronx
Oh,
Expressway.
right.
They offer, in that case, they offered people who weren't as dark better opportunities than the people who were.
Right.
Not saying
Yeah.
maybe this is the
More money.
not
More
saying-
money coming in.
Well, they got compensation,
Right.
so where a lot of the colored families actually didn't get the compensation,
Right.
Yeah.
and they got offered spots that were in like southern New Jersey or what, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're still far away,
Yeah.
more outskirts, but it was like they got compensated for it, as to where the colored people, a large majority of them,
Right,
they
right.
built up these large domiciles.
Yep.
I'm not going to compare them to prisons exactly, but they're very similar. And like if you think about a way of life you got to live, a very fucking, very, very bland fucking cement,
Right, right,
concrete
right.
fucking
Yeah.
slab of
Yeah.
apartments.
Yeah.
And you just cram a bunch of people into it. Like, firstly, if you're going to put that many people living in a building, unless they're people paying for a condo who got money,
Right.
like if you're putting the people who have nothing
Yeah.
all together in a fucking, it's going to be a melting pot.
Of
You
course.
Absolutely,
have no
absolutely.
other choice but it to become a high crime rate. But the thing, I think it's conscribed because these people wanted it. They're gonna kill each other because one big
Yeah.
point, and
Thing is,
something
it
Trey D
Yeah.
said in an interview with Vlad, but something Trey D said, and that really resonated with me too, is that proximity is the cause of most
Yeah.
crimes.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
why a lot of times in the black and
Yeah.
the black Latino communities, which are largely populated, is people killing each other because everything's proximity. So you're not
Yeah.
going out to fucking Forest Hills or
Right,
whatever
right,
to
right.
rob the fucking people.
No,
when
'cause
they're
you're
not
stuck in your
home.
neighborhood.
Because you're
You're
stuck
stuck.
in your neighborhood.
You
You
can't
might not
leave.
even got money to get on the fucking
Exactly.
bus to
Yeah.
get to that neighborhood.
Exactly.
Let alone, you know what I mean? But what you can see in your immediate reach is dude on the corner with the gold chain who you
Yeah.
know has been hustling
Right.
for 5
And
years.
he's
You
got
know what I
it.
mean? And it might not be that hard for you to conscribe with a homie or two to
Yeah.
get a Glock or
Yeah.
something and, you know,
Yeah.
pull something off. You might not have it, but you and a couple, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But proximity is everything.
Well, what I want
And
to say
so-
too is, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just to finish the point, was
Yeah.
just like, you know, with the Cross Bronx Expressway, they almost like perfectly conscribed it so that like certain people go to a certain area where they can
Right,
just
right,
attack
right.
themselves, and then the rest
Other
of these
people are
people we're
stuck
going to
here.
put them in other areas, and we're actually going to give them compensation.
Right,
If anything,
right,
it should
right.
be vice versa. These people should have got the fucking compensation.
Right.
But no, we'll give you subsidized housing, and instead of compensating you, and we'll give these, you know what I mean?
Well,
But
another
that's
pro-
how it's conscribed. But
Yeah.
with something like, you know, what you say in Chicago, I just think it's nuts because if you're going to pull this type of system, them,
Right.
you gotta like you don't
Expect
even.
it to be the way it is.
You're just dispersing them everywhere. You didn't give
Exactly.
nobody nothing because you've already
Exactly.
probably created this community from some sort of regentrification
Yeah.
prior in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
And so now you got all these concentrated people here who have not much going for them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And now you're just gonna disperse them. Now that's like
Well, I want to say another
you
problem
got
too
people
is
with opportunity everywhere.
And
now.
you
Yeah.
expect something good out of that.
Like
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. But I think it's ridiculous in a full, regardless.
Yeah, no doubt. And another problem too is like, you know, when you start to regentrify and people come into your neighborhood who have more money, but some of the people still stay behind
Yep.
because they see some opportunities, i.e., let's say a few of the drug dealers.
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with a neighborhood that has more money. So instead
And
of
no
selling
street morals.
no, not even just that. So instead of, let's say, selling, you know, rock, making your money off rock, now you got people who want the powder, but they want bigger quantities of the
Yeah.
powder.
Yeah.
Now you got people who want heroin, they want bigger quantities of them. So now it becomes
You
a
create, like,
bigger,
a bigger
it
cart-
becomes a
Yeah.
bigger market.
Hey.
However, now that it's a bigger market, some of those same people who were in that neighborhood before, who that was their territory, they want back in. They want a bigger slice of
Of
that,
course.
right? So now you create bigger drug wars
Yeah.
because
Turf
in
wars.
suburbia,
Wow.
drugs aren't looked
That's
at the
science right
same.
there. That's
drugs,
science.
you know what I'm saying? In suburbia, drugs, cops will shoot it aside. That's why you have bigger opiate
Yep.
problems there.
And there's no such thing as turf wars in suburbs.
Absolutely, right? But now all of a sudden you have people from the suburbs coming down because this area has been gentrified. They want the suburb drugs. The suburb drugs bring the suburb drug money. You have these local
Wow.
drug dealers who were selling, you know, stuff that was accessible to people who had the money in the area they lived. Now you have people who got big time money, right?
Yeah.
That creates drug wars.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's something that people don't even look at.
Wow.
If they're going to gentrify Jane and Finch, that's going to probably create a bigger drug war than they even realize.
Yeah.
They have to start looking at what's in that area. Who's going to come in? You're going to get, you know, a lot of younger, you know, white kids, and it's nothing bad about it, but they spend more money, let's say, on cocaine.
Yeah.
And they'll
Yeah.
do it very nilly-willy compared to somebody who doesn't have 80 to drop on a gram.
Yep.
These guys have 250 to drop on an 8 ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's big money to somebody who's only used to selling little $10
That's
stones.
facts right there.
So,
That's
absolutely.
science, yo.
Absolutely. People don't think about that. That's what happens in places like Chicago. That's what happens, you know, all over.
Since they cleaned up downtown, their Lansdowne and Parkdale and all
Yeah.
that stuff, it went from being asked for food to being asked for cocaine.
Right, right.
The soul drugs.
Right?
And I was like, I'm looking at the shift. I
Right.
was like, oh, this is crazy.
And you're like, this is weird. What are you asking me for right
I
now?
thought they cleaned
It's a
up the
very
neighborhood,
weird
And
thing.
they're still asking me for drugs.
Absolutely.
But it's just the customers are different.
Absolutely, bro. I get asked for Percocets, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking? Do I look like someone that perks?" Like, I used to get asked for weed on the regular. To
Yeah.
get asked for, where's the food? Where's the
Yeah.
perks? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know. But that's what happens when you start having
Yeah, drugs are always going to
regentrification.
be a part of society, unfortunately.
Most definitely, but in the suburbs, drugs are not really looked at as a big problem as they are in the urban city.
Yeah.
Because when you live in the suburbs, chances are you know more of the people. You
Yeah.
know the local authorities.
Yeah.
They're not going to come after you for something that they did when they were younger themselves. You know what I mean? They don't see a potential perp. They see more somebody
Yeah,
that
well,
they know in a
But when they
particular
come
way,
downtown
right?
to work,
They're your
everyone's a
perps.
perp.
Exactly. They don't know you.
Now-
It's millions of
And
people.
that's
They
when
don't
they
care.
start
Talking
attacking
about this
innocent
too.
people.
Yeah.
You know, once again, every time I talk about white people, because I'm not gonna lie, I know white people. You know, firstly, I don't even like to identify as white, but just to
Use
put it in a
Caucasian.
simple no, not even that. Actually, Caucasian. The term of that comes from
It comes from the Caucasus Mountains.
Well, exactly. It comes from a German ideology, not scientifically based.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
One, like this one idiot, he's like, well, I think white people, you know, almost like Hitler ideology.
Yeah.
It was
Listen, that
like
shit-
these people are the most beautiful people. So
When
he
you go back-
decided that
Yeah, yeah.
white people, who are actually the most unnatural people, we came from the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah.
And it's this unscientifically based
Yeah.
fucking nonsense. So Caucasian isn't even the word. What I like to identify is Polish, English, Irish.
Oh, so you're talking
Canadian.
WASP.
You know what I mean? Like I'm fucking all over the place. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But the only reason I say white is because so many white people just simply identify
Yeah,
as
it's
white.
society.
And
No.
don't think about their history.
Yeah.
It goes back to our
But-
stereotype thing. That's just what
Exactly.
society
But
is.
the one
put on
thing,
us.
what you guys are just talking about, and it's about like, you know, the gentrification, the white kids
Yeah.
movement and stuff like this. It actually made me think of a question, which I think is a valid question. Which either way, I can share my opinion on it after. But do you think white people like to shift the blame to other cultures and ideologies of people for their own problems?
I
Depends
think
what the problem is.
Well, there's a great example
Yeah.
right there. So you guys are talking about the white guys movement. They have now they got coke,
Yeah.
they got this stuff and stuff. We want to, like mainstream white America wants to depict, colored people as the drug dealers, the this, the that. It's
Yeah.
like it's almost like
I
they
think it's
shift the
so
blame of something
kind
like
of-
because are white people at least I would say so. I would like to know your guys' opinion. White people are the most fucked up people on this planet. All the people
I
who
didn't
do the
say
most
that.
fucked up crimes,
Oh,
who chop
man,
people to
oh,
shit with
man,
axes.
oh, man.
That's a
you're
white
fucking-
guy who
yeah,
said
yo.
that. I did
The
not
people
say
who do the most
that.
fucked up crimes, they chop people with axes and they eat their flesh and they do all this fucked up shit. It's
I think-
white people, man. White people are these like psychotic.
But on that same note,
fucking people.
though, you could look at
And they
the
don't like
horoscope.
to take
no,
blame.
hold on. At the same
And
time,
that's
though,
the
you're saying that.
stereotypes, but
Okay, we're going to stereotypes. Now you said that you're a Caucasian, you're a white, you're a WASP, we'll call it a
Oh,
white
this is gonna get out of
Anglo-Saxon.
control.
But what I want to say is, at the same time, because you're mentioning like axe murderers and all this stuff, I saw a list, and most of these guys were like Virgos, Geminis, and Sagittarius.
Oh, it had more to do with
so I think it might have to
astrology.
do exactly. It might have to do more with
people,
astrology.
people overlook astrology.
Sorry, I shouldn't pop the mic. That might have to do more with astrology than it has to do more so with a particular race of people. Like if you look at the list of like the serial killers, they're all like I think only 3 astrological signs. That to me is a little bit more weird than per se the color of these particular serial
See, and
killers.
you know what?
Is it you're
Astrology-
born in a particular time? You're more what is it? Mars retrograde? You want to
See,
go out and murder
you know
somebody?
what? The thing is, we only have 13 minutes, but I think that's once again. So
Yeah.
Band-Aids and astrology, 2 topics we have to discuss.
Yeah.
Because astrology is so deep.
Yeah.
All religions in this world pretty much
Based
are
on
based
that.
on
On
astrology.
astrology, right?
So
So
that is
that's-
a huge
that's deep
conversation
science,
for us to
man.
have.
Yeah.
But even still, just to remove the astrology from it, because that's very interesting. So we'll have to talk about that when we do bring this back up. But
Deep
look,
science.
man, look at all the fucking weird people, man. Are fucking white people, man. I'm telling you. But yet, white media wants to project that these people are evil and these people kill people and these
I
do
ain't
that.
gonna
Like,
lie.
I'll
but,
put it.
yo, I think the scariest thing is a fucking white person, man. They'll fucking
No.
do some stupid shit to you for no fucking reason. They're fucking they can find justifications and reasons for the dumbest shit. They like, yo.
Stand your ground.
I'll put it
Man.
like this: it's debatable. The thing is, when the system is set up a certain way for people to think a certain way, to believe that they're
Well, that's
better
why I
than
think
that,
so
and
many of them
so
think that.
I don't
Yeah, I agree.
put it on the mass of white people. I put on the conditioning. from
I
the
agree.
upper-
I agree.
That it comes down.
I
to
do
that.
agree it
Some
comes to
think that
conditioning.
way, yeah.
100%.
They don't
But-
know better because they're in a system that, they think is for them.
Well, do you know what another thing I think is too? Is the fact like how many really poor white people are the people who do these fucked up crimes like Jeffrey Dahmer's and shit. I think
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of times
Yeah.
it's people
I
that
haven't
were
studied my
maybe
serial
not fully
killers.
privileged,
Yeah.
but have that white privilege. You know what I mean? Like middle class in the time when a lot of people weren't middle class. Things of these kind of natures. Like
Yeah.
I think you really need to be someone because like what they say, idle hands do the devil's work.
Yeah.
And I think you need to be someone who sits there with not a lot of time, like not a lot going on and a lot of time on your hands to really want to start like cutting into people and fucking doing all this weird shit and tying people up and
that's
fucking
weird.
chaining people up and fucking eating skin and shit. Like who the fuck thinks to do that shit?
You know what? I'm not even
check
gonna
the
lie.
check. I'm not trying to fucking tie you up in my fucking like you know what I mean?
Of all the horror movies I've ever watched in my life, I think Candyman was the only one that had a black protagonist.
It was.
That's the
didn't know
only
that.
one. It's always. You might be onto something here, Maloney, but you said it, not me.
White people are fucked up, man. And one thing I like that Lord Jamar says is he refuses to use the word white supremacy when talking about people who push a white agenda.
Yeah.
He calls it white insanity. And I think that's
Lord
very
Jamar.
real.
Yeah.
White insanity, I think, is very real. I know so many white people right now who I've had debates with, heated with, and they're partly who that post I made was about.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
so many people who are gonna like watch this and be like, fuck you, like, fuck you, Malone.
They're gonna call you
Almost,
a
you know what I
sellout.
mean?
That's
And
horrible,
these
bro.
people won't even-
Pandering.
And these people don't even consider themselves racist, but they're gonna be like, "Why? Like you're
Yeah.
being racist towards your own
No, I
people?"
think anyone can
no,
be a serial
firstly,
killer,
you
though.
ain't my people because
Yeah.
we're all different fucking cultures. We just
Well,
consider ourselves this one
Yeah.
holy
Have
fucking
we ever
stupid
have
thing.
you ever studied stats of serial killers from other parts of the world though? Do they exist in other parts of the
Well,
world?
I know.
Are there serial killers?
I'm pretty
serial
sure
killers that exist
Western.
in other
I'm
parts
pretty
of the
sure
world?
Western civilization and like Europe and Britain are the homes to most serial killers. They don't
Yeah.
really exist in many other countries.
That's
That's
weird.
why I don't think you hear about them.
Yeah.
Genocides happen, things happen, but everything has a purpose.
Like
in other places
Jack
in the
the
world.
Ripper. He's from the UK, right? Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
He was the first, if I'm not mistaken.
But
was
the
he
UK
not?
was on the Western world tip before we even were. You know what I mean? We're just like a reprint
Well, let's
of
be
that on
honest.
another
But
continent.
let's be honest. If Bruce Lee had got pissed off, he could have killed 100 motherfuckers and nobody would have been able to do anything to him. So shout out to Bruce Lee for not.
Hey, shout out to Bruce Lee for not being crazy. But you know what? They did get his son, the Crow.
Yeah, man. Oh, rest in peace, Brandon Lee.
I said that in a line years ago, like Brandon Lee killing MC during his act.
Oh, wow. Do you think that family's cursed? The Lee family?
You know what? I think personally, you know, this is going back to
You're a
dismantling
conspiracy
stuff.
theory guy.
No, I'm not a conspiracy
I'm
guy.
noticing that.
I'm a conspiracy guy.
You're a conspiracist.
I don't believe when Jay-Z throws up the rock, it's an Illuminati sign. And I don't believe
the
all
rock
these
in the building.
outlandish conspiracy theories people put out. See, and that's why I like to, I think there's a defined difference in a true conspiracy and a conspiracy theory. But an agenda, once again, that has been pushed by white mainstream media in the Western world for the last, at least since Bush's fucking, the whole 9/11 shit, if not even before that, was anytime someone said something about the government, a huge thing that was pushed on like different media outlets. And you can look, like, there's a history of the word conspiracy, the combination of conspiracy theory. Because people, their brains are very simple. You relate things to things, right? Like what's a 2-word combo? Like six-pack. You know what I mean? You think of muscles or you think of beer.
A six-pack. Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Right.
2 words can become a combination of almost a single word. And what was done is, I believe there was a huge thing when, you know, especially in the time of the internet, when people could start finding information more freely, and people who spoke out about information they knew. There was a huge campaign put out through mainstream media, Viacom, via all these types of things, where conspiracy theory needed to be a bundle package. You couldn't talk about a conspiracy anymore. The only time you talk about conspiracy is if it's conspiracy to murder or conspiracy to drug trade. But aside from that, conspiracy had to be bundled with the word theory. And then as conspiracy theory becomes, and now when you hear the word conspiracy, you think more of conspiracy theory. Like you don't even relate it to an actual conspiracy.
So you
anymore.
automatically assume like kind of like a crazy sense of the person. The person talking about the conspiracy, you automatically assume they're crazy because
it's mental ideology. It's brainwashing.
You've embedded the thought conspiracy theory.
And that's something that, like, in this big, like, you can read articles on this and stuff, and like the usage of that pairing of words, and it's very deep. Like, there's a deep history in it. And it's like, it's actually very real. And human minds are very simple. It's
Mel
not
Gibson
hard
did a
to
movie.
control us.
There's a movie Mel Gibson did called Conspiracy Theory with Julia Roberts, right?
It's crazy.
It's a good movie.
I like that movie. That was a good movie.
See, the thing was, sorry, not to cut you off, remember your point, but the one thing I want to say is a very valid point is this. There's a difference between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory. A conspiracy exists if there is factual, not even, it doesn't even have to be proof yet, but if there's, it's like in a court of law. If you're to accuse somebody of murder, if you're going to accuse somebody of murder, but you don't have physical evidence, you can book enough plausibility, exactly. It has to do with plausibility.
Reasonable doubt, but
if there's reasonable doubt is exactly what I'm looking for.
Reasonable doubt is how you would get out of it, but
that's exactly what I'm looking for. If there's enough ideology behind an idea that can't be proven without reasonable doubt, like, you then have a conspiracy. It's not a theory, because it's not a theory if there's enough evidence stacked up against the ideology of it. And that's the difference. Everybody looks, when you have a conspiracy, they're like, oh, well, conspiracy theory. But it's not that. A conspiracy theory is an idea based on something that you don't have the factual evidence to back up to have an actual conspiracy to fight against. It's just a theory. And that's why I don't believe in all this stupid shit like Jay-Z throwing up the diamond and certain shots and videos.
Jay-Z being Illuminati
ideology. Illuminati's not a real thing. Illuminati is what stupid people use to point a finger at the 1%.
Definitely exist.
Masons
are real.
All these things exist, but they exist in different levels. Like,
there's a Mason lodge right by my house.
There is. But what I'm trying to say is these things exist, but they don't exist in the way people look at them. Like, people look at, like, Freemasons and the Illuminati is this magical force that runs everything in the world. Central banking systems is this magical force. They influence all the powerful people around the globe and have been ever since they funded both sides of the war with France and fucking Britain in fucking 1794 or whatever. But either way, like, this is what the Illuminati is. It's central banking systems.
Yeah.
It's the 1% of people on the planet that control
Yeah.
most of the wealth.
Yeah.
This is what the Illuminati is, but people are so dumb to fucking research and look at shit that's factual. They're like, oh, it's Illuminati.
Yeah.
There's it's
Because
the
they want someone to
boogeyman.
blame,
It's the
right?
boogeyman.
They
It's
want
when you
someone
do
to
shit around
blame.
your house and it's a ghost.
feel
You know what I mean?
you. I feel you.
It's a fucking scapegoat.
It's just the
Yeah.
ability to blame somebody other than yourself for something that you can't understand or you
Exactly.
can't fully comprehend and break down.
Exactly.
Absolutely. No, I agree, man. They exist. And you know what? I've done my research on the Illuminati. And it makes sense. I love doing research on the Illuminati
They're
because it's
alchemists.
entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
They're alchemists.
I would like to think that I'm an alchemist. Like The Alchemist is my favorite book. Shout out Paulo Coelho. I've read
Word.
that
Yeah.
book at least 5 times in my life, and I try to read it at least once every 18 months to recenter myself.
Yeah.
So anyone out there who's never read The Alchemist, go read that book. And alchemy is the ability to turn lead to gold. Like that's the
Yeah.
literal
Yeah.
meaning of alchemy.
I used that in a punchline once too.
Right?
You know,
Yes.
right,
And he's a
rhymes
dope.
to go
The
gold.
Alchemist is also a dope
Like,
producer.
yeah.
But it is what it is. Just the ability to blame somebody for something you can't comprehend.
That's
or you
exactly
can't
it.
understand. But what I'm
And those
learning
are
though.
conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning here in this conversation is that you are definitely the conspiracy dude of this trio here.
Oh, yeah.
You like to go deep.
No,
into
you know
that.
what? Things don't happen for no
Yeah,
reason.
there's always
A lot of
something
people
behind
like to give benefit of the
Fair
doubt,
enough.
and even the same way we talk about Public Enemy being dismantled. That's why I disagree with you 100%. Because there's no way you're gonna have a government, and
Yeah.
it's not even the government; it's higher than the government.
Yeah.
Like the CIA is the secret operatives of the fucking 1% of the
Yeah,
planet.
no
you know what
doubt,
I mean?
no doubt.
Like they don't have to answer to any laws; they do what the fuck
Which
they
is
want.
why this whole Trump versus the CIA thing is kind of weird because
Yeah.
the CIA is
'Cause he's
fucked
not
over
1%.
everybody in
What
their
people
mind.
don't realize about
Oh, he is
Trump-
1%.
No,
he's
not.
he's
People
the
think-
1% of the 1%.
No, people think no.
He comes from wealth.
Trump is not near as rich as people think. Did you know over 80% of the buildings in the
but
world that
he
have
has.
Trump's? But over 80% of the building, like people look at him like he's a real estate god. No, he's not.
You
What he
are
did
not a
is he
Christopher Nolan
created.
fan.
No, he created a business off of his name,
Yeah.
and
I
that's
feel
what he
you.
did. Most 85%, if not more, of the buildings on this planet that have Donald Trump's
Aye.
name on it, he does not own a single
Well, Mr.
piece
Maloney.
of. He fucking
Mr.
leases
Malone,
his name.
let me cut
for
you
a
off.
paycheck. It's like a
Let me
commercial.
cut you off really quick. What industry are you involved in? Hip hop.
Hip-hop.
All right. Now, have you ever watched a movie called The Prestige?
No.
Okay, you need to sit down and watch this movie tonight because what it's going to teach you more so than anything, it's not what you do, it's how you present it to the people and what you get them to believe. So
Word.
regardless if this man was worth negative $1 million,
What you just said is
the
exactly.
the fact he could present himself to say, I'm worth $10 billion and the world believes that he pulled it off. It's the prestige.
Yep.
That's what most of the people, that's what 99.9% of the people do not get in this world.
Word.
It is not
That's
what
facts.
you do, it is
How
how,
you present it.
you
Yeah.
do it. It's how you present it. It is the image
No,
that you,
you know
pull
what?
off. You can if you can pull off and make people believe something even though it's not what you are, you can conquer and con the world at the same time. It's the
Yeah.
prestige. That's all it is.
No, you know what? That's true.
You need to watch
facts.
that movie.
That's
But
true
that's what-
facts.
that's-
That is
that's
true
what
facts.
he is the
You're-
master
and he is
of
the master
doing.
that. But the only thing I was arguing is saying he's not part of the 1%. He doesn't have enough wealth to match up with these people. Like when you read
He is now.
No,
it doesn't
he's
matter
not,
what
man.
he does.
No, he's not.
But it doesn't matter what he does for the rest of his life. His family, for the rest of
Like,
their
talk-
lives, will
just-
have public
they'll have-
service protection.
exactly.
They
But-
will be etched
But
in the book
point
of,
I'm making,
of whatever. Like,
he's
I'm
still,
not a fan of
he's
his.
still
but
not 1% though. Like you got to think about it like this. You know when Woodrow Wilson signed over the rights of the American printing to the Federal Reserve Act back in 1913?
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
No,
but that sounds about right.
It happened. It happened when Congress is actually 80. I think it was 65 to 80% of them were on actual Christmas vacation. He
Yeah.
signed it on like December 23rd or some
Yeah.
shit. So most of
I'll look
Congress
that
wasn't
up.
even there.
Yeah.
He sold this. He sold the rights of the printing of the American money over to the Federal Reserve. And this is not conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
This is fact.
fact.
Like
Yeah.
you can
Right.
research this. And this is why I say like Illuminati is a blanket. It's a scapegoat.
Yeah.
But either way, he signed it
What's
over.
our,
but do you know
what's our
what it
time
was
count?
sold over to? It was sold over to like as a corporation, like something that's on the stock market. It was sold over to 200 shareholders. Do you know what the difference is between this and a lot of businesses?
No.
Well, I think maybe laws have changed, but either way, these shareholders are private and to this day have not had to release their identity. So there are 200 people who invested in the wanting to print America's money.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, the printing
And
of
those
America's
two-
dollars is done by the Rothschild family in London
Wow.
City.
I wonder how many shares they own in that 200. Maybe they own all of them.
That's
the thing is, we
possible.
don't know.
Yeah,
that's possible.
The Federal Reserve, which prints American money, which is
Yeah.
the money, the monetary standard we trade oil in, we
Right,
trade
right,
petroleum in, which makes it
We don't
the
trade it for the gold
currency
anymore.
of the planet.
Yeah.
It makes it the currency of the planet,
Yeah.
and it is controlled by a private shareholder of 200 individuals.
I'm gonna look that up.
That is it.
That
And
sounds
that is
interesting.
absolutely insane. And if you look, people always talk about America's debt to China.
Yeah.
You talk about all this. If you look, you can look. There's pie graphs online. You can look. Every single year, America owes at least more than. They might owe China, let's say on an annual basis, is 20 to 25% of their 100% of debt is owed to China. It's always almost usually double, if not more, to their own banking system, the
Yeah.
Federal Reserve. They borrow
Yeah.
money and it gets printed off of them. And you know what happened when Nixon took them off the gold stamp, off the gold back?
Yeah.
They no longer had to put up assets, and that's why Fort Knox has not been counted. The gold in Fort Knox has not been counted
For a
since
long time.
1952.
Wow.
This guy knows his numbers and his
These motherfuckers are playing
stats,
with
man.
monopoly money, and the
Yeah.
world is trading monopoly money. Now,
Yeah.
that's the crazy shit about it. But this is what that's
Yeah.
the point I'm making here, is that those 200 motherfuckers who own that printing system, just that country alone, they got a lot more money than your Bill Gateses, your Jay-Z's,
Yeah.
all these people that fucking media wants to put out as
Yeah.
the rich people.
Yeah.
And that's why I say Donald Trump is not even anywhere near the fucking 1%.
Yeah.
I get that. No, he's not as far as the
Well,
wealth,
he's
but as
definitely
far
working for him.
as where he's gonna be, for the rest of his life.
He's
yeah,
an
he's gonna
agenda.
be
He's
there.
an
That's
agenda.
all he
Like,
is,
I'm not
man.
a fan of the guy, but at this particular point in
That's all
time,
he
like
is.
his family's legacy will be up there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he
you know,
he
other
accomplished
legacy.
something that
Hey,
no one ever accomplished.
Yo,
so.
no disrespect. James
He's a
Bay got a
fucking
legacy,
snake oil, man.
but they're never touching the 1%. You know what? But
Hey, Jay-Z's
that
got
being
the
said, I want
third
to give a
biggest
big
house
shout
in
out to
America?
fucking. It doesn't matter. People who buy shit like that are flaunting. You know what I mean? I bet you the 200 people with the private shareholders of the Federal Reserve, I bet you half of them have fucking mansions that are 20 times bigger than Jay-Z's, like Rothschilds and shit.
Yeah.
I bet you the other half live in fucking like condos.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
No, but Jay-Z's literally, him and Beyonce literally just bought the third biggest house in the
Doesn't
United
surprise me.
States of America.
But that's like it's like it's that street
It's
in them
flying.
still. They're like,
Of course.
yeah, we gotta
Of
flash on you.
course.
We can
Of
afford to
course.
flash on you this hard now, so we're gonna. But
Of
like,
course.
you know,
when I can afford my Audi
the
R8, I'm
richest
buying
people
one.
don't do that. They don't flaunt it. That's why you don't know who the fuck they are. That's why the names are private when they own one of the literally the most profitable banking systems in the world. We trade oil off of it.
Maloney's going in today, bro. He's pissed. He's going in
Yo,
on the
planet
bankers
is
today.
monopoly, man. It's a fucking joke. It's a sham.
No, the thing that kills me though is like you see a stat and it's like this world is like 25 billion or 25 trillion dollars in debt. It's like in debt to who, man? We don't owe no money to
To
no
200
aliens. We
idiots.
don't owe them the marks 200. Yes, well, to those 200 idiots. You guys are idiots. That's all I'm gonna say. Because if
Why?
I say anything more than you guys are idiots, I might wind up dead.
Hey,
so
right.
you guys are idiots.
You know
That's
what I
all
mean?
I'm
But
gonna say. I don't know who you are.
we're at the end of our
Other
program
than
now,
Rothschild.
so everybody, let the people know who you are once again, and
Yeah.
promote anything you got going on, and we'll
Yeah.
bounce out.
Yeah.
Dustin Wareham, DJ D's Nuts, 80s favorite babies all day. We got a show coming up next Friday at the Rock
Hey.
Pile West. DJ Ace is judging. I'm trying to win a show to New York. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
So I'm
support.
trying to do that. And then on the 25th, I'm doing a show for my boy Chief Rekka. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Shout out to him. It's his album release party. So we doing that. I think that's out somewhere in Scarborough. But that's what we up to for the next couple days. And yeah, man, hit me up online. And yeah, what you got coming up, homie?
Sorry, man. Mike Stone.
The
event
Chief.
is this Saturday. It's a 420 pop-up shop.
Yeah, I want to come to that. I found out the new Power Summit though.
edibles,
Fuck.
accessories, etc. It's RSVP. It's free. Get high. Buy some edibles.
Hey.
It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope.
And the Power Summit, Northern Power
Dio,
Summit.
we tried to call you, but you're in there. So
Yeah.
hopefully, just come in person like next
Yeah.
week or something. We want to talk to you still. But
Yeah,
either
man.
way, Breaking Records Radio, your host Maloney, every Saturday, 8 p.m., Tuesday, 2 and 10 p.m. That's www.maximumfm.ca.
Shout out
There's
Chris
the link
Jackson.
Right motherfucking
Shout
there
out Mike
behind
Boogie.
my ugly ass head. You know what I mean? White people are fucked up in their heads.
Hey, we didn't say that. Listen. Get us on camera real quick. Get us on camera real quick. No. Get us on camera. We didn't say that. We did not make that comment at all. This man made that comment. He's the one who made that comment. Don't put that on us at all, baby. Don't put that on us.
That's me.
Oh
You know what
Lord
I'm saying?
Jesus Christ.
You can repeat that. We did not make that
But the thing
comment,
is, I don't
homie.
believe in white. White's nonsense. That's just stupid. You know what I mean?
Just believe in lacking pigment?
No.
Classifications are just-
They're all ridiculous. Everything's
Absolutely,
cultural. You
man.
are what you are, and that's
Absolutely.
it. Black doesn't exist. White doesn't
Absolutely.
exist. Yellow,
So we
red,
can
none
make
of
that
this shit
comment.
exists. Your
Yeah.
cultural,
It's some
your
made-up
culture
bullshit.
exists.
No, absolutely, man. I make my friends based on who makes me laugh. You guys make me laugh. You guys are
Exactly.
my boys. You know what I'm saying? That
Yep.
being said, you guys are my boys, and I would love to smoke a blunt with y'all after
Hey.
we're done recording this.
Yeah, let's get it. So thank you,
Shout
people,
out to
for
all my
listening.
smokers.
We'll hit y'all next week. Toronto Talks, and don't pronounce the T, motherfucker.
Toronto
Bye,
Talks,
bye.
baby. One love. Peace. Oh, that's what we didn't talk about this week, man. We didn't talk about the fact that we can now go private with marijuana as of April 1st, 2019.
we
Toronto.
did.
So
Yo.
we're going to talk about that
People are
next
still
week.
tuned in on
We're still
live.
kinda- yeah.
That shit with the marijuana.
Yo, but we'll
shit
save
fucked
that for
up.
next
We
week.
still
Save that
kind
for
of,
next
yeah, we're
week.
still kind of recording, but
Yo,
we definitely got to
what
touch
were
on
the
that
two
next week.
topics? Band-Aids?
Band-Aids and
What the fuck is the other one?
Band-Aid solutions and something with the community. I can't remember.
Band-Aids and...
We were talking about the other one, man.
I have to go back and listen.
You started talking about crazy white people. I don't know, man. I
I
just
was
said,
like,
we just
yo.
saying, man.
Yo, but
Shut up, Max FM, though.
now off the record, can we agree though?
Yeah, the thing is, that's the thing.
we still
Off
recording,
the
man.
record and off
No.
the record,
Oh,
I
are
can
you?
agree.
we still
Yo,
recording.
stop
man.
recording!
All right, man. We out.
It's
We out. One
debatable.
love, man. We had fun, baby.
It's just
Peace.
there's bad seeds in every batch.
Yo, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Once again, it's a
Yeah.
stereotype.
All right, man. We gonna end
Not
this.
all stereotypes are 100%
Yeah.
correct.
How the fuck do I
But
end this?
for the majority,
Uh,
white people are the fucking weird people, man. Do you know why the only reason, as crazy as it sounds, that I
that's how we end
possibly
it.
believe